Hello friends. This is the Ani Fanfics. How are you all? So we are back with second part on what if Naruto awakens a new and overpowered bloodline. But before we begin, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin. Previously. Alright maggot, sit down, save your energy for the second exam, the man said, eyeing Naruto. Naruto let the man drop on his butt and walked over to his designated seat. Gaara, who was staring at him, felt his blood run cold. Whatever he was going to do to the Iwanin, it would certainly be something he hopes Naruto doesn't do to him. He shook off the feeling and walked to his seat. After everyone was seated, alright, little girls, welcome to this year's Chunin exams, the name's Ibiki Marino, how you doing? Present. It was 0 hour, the written exam has begun. Naruto looked at his surroundings, they were watching, every little move they made, waiting for the moment we screw up. He remembered what Ibiki said, if one person fails the entire squad fails. Lucky for him Naruto was a one-man squad, so all he had to worry about was himself. He noticed the Tsunade Cup boy from earlier get up saying he had to go to the restroom. He also noticed the bun-haired girl and the green spandex boy working a string mirror and his teammate's headband to view others' answers from above. The bloodline users Sasuke, Neji, and Hinata were using their Sharingan and Byakugan to copy another's movements. He looked around and saw the red-heated boy control his sand to create a third eye. Naruto looked into his memories and pulled out information. He instantly wrote the first 7 answers. He noticed the blonde Konoha Genin use her Shintenshi no Jutsu, mind transfer technique, on his pink-haired friend. Shaking his head, decided to use his Sharingan to finish the rest of the exam. He found a good subject and copied his movements. As he finished he felt a sting in his eye. He tried sending Biomass to ease it up a bit, but it only made it worse, so he deactivated the Sharingan and the stinging subdued. Naruto pondered, what just happened? Why would his eyes sting? Of course Naruto has used the Sharingan the first 2 years since he obtained it and had used it on several occasions in the past, so, what is happening? He felt someone eyeing him. He looked down and saw a small beetle, gently picking it up. He whispers, you're not a Kakachu, is someone here your master? BZZ. Itaki Nin. BZZ. I noticed you seem to have a small amount of demonic chakra on you, is your master a Jinchuriki by any chance? BZZ. BZZ. No, don't be alarmed, I'm just like her, I'm number 9, can you tell her I said hi for me? BZZ. Arigato. Naruto finished whispering and smiled, letting the beetle fly off to its master. He looked at the Taki Nin who was listening to her beetle. She turned her head to him with a surprised look. Naruto gives her his trademark grin. He holds up 9 fingers. She understands and smiles, holding up 7 fingers. Naruto then heard Kurama speak to him, Kid, you feel that Shukaku, Matatabi, and Jayuki are here too. Who are they? They are the first, second and 8-tailed Biju. Naruto relayed the message. He held up 1 finger, then 2, then 8 before making a whir-like motion. What does he mean? Chime? Any ideas? She thought. Little larva, feel around you, the first, second, and 8 Jinchuriki are here as well, said Lieutenant. She was wide-eyed till she saw his next message. He pointed at her, then at him, then jabbed his thumb backwards. She blushed slightly and nodded dumbly. He gave her his trademark grin which made her blush crimson red. Ahem, who turned around and saw a proctor looking at her with a raised eyebrow, holding 2 fingers up, indicating she's been caught twice. She gets caught 3 more times and she's out along with her squad. Rubbing her head sheepishly restarted her exam. 45 minutes later. Alright maggots, time's up and you are now ready for the final question. However, there will be one thing you need to understand. You will have to choose whether or not you want to take this question or quit right here, right now, he said smugly. A random Genin shouted, what? Why would we just quit? Because, if you were to answer the 10th question and answer ring, you will be immediately dropped from the program and never be allowed reinstatement, he said, getting shocked looks from the entire room. Naruto stared at Ibiki. Something was up. He saw Genin begin to raise their hands and were told to leave the room. After a while at least 30, maybe 40% of the room was emptied. Naruto began balancing a kunai on his finger, trying to improve his chakra control. Ibiki was throwing some taunts every now and then, trying to get more teams to quit, which surprisingly worked. Having had enough, Naruto threw the kunai he was balancing at the board. Okay, I'm starting to fall asleep here. You going to tell us the 10th question, or are you just going to stand there and ramble a bunch of bullshit? He said with a monotone voice. Big talk, and just what are you prepared to do if you fail? It doesn't matter, I'll find some other way to become a shinobi. Now are you going to tell us the 10th questions or what? Naruto said, getting annoyed. Ibiki smirked, alright then, for those of you still here. Everyone tensed and readied themselves. You pass. To face vault. Wait, what do you mean we pass? Said the blonde Tsunade Genin. You see, the purpose of this test was espionage, how good you were at getting information. This final question was to test you on whether you'd continue a mission, no matter the odds. Ibiki continued his speech and showed his hidden face. Naruto thought, damn, the fuck happened to that guy? As Ibiki finished, a large black swirling ball flew into the room. It turned out to be a banner saying second examiner. Single and sexy, Madarashi Anko. Said woman struck a pose, making some people sweat drop. Alright maggots, listen up, you are here because you managed to. Anko. Ibiki, what could be so important that you interrupt my speech? She said impassively. That you're about half an hour early, Ibiki replied, getting a deadpan from Anko. I see, she said, eye twitching as she looked at the genin. 57 genin, there's still too many of them, Ibiki, you've gone soft, TSK. Doesn't matter, by the time I'm through with them, the number will be cut down by half, she said, getting an evil grin. See, cut down by half. Thought a pink-haired genin. Single, sexy, and sadistic, oh man, I think I'm in love, thought Naruto. Everyone meet at training ground 44. She yelled. The genin began to exit the room. Anko caught sight of the blonde-haired teen. She remembered seeing him in the bingo book. She licked her lips. Now how did I miss that hunk of man, she smirked, thinking of ways to get with the SS-ranked genin. Training ground 44 Aka. Forest of Death. Everyone was standing outside, waiting for the sadistic proctor to make her appearance, which lasted shortly as reappeared in a swirl of leaves. Everyone here? Good, the training ground behind me is known as the Forest of Death. This was made by the Shodaime himself as his personal training ground. There are animals, insects, and plants in there that are waiting to take a bite at you. What you need to do is sign this waiver to ensure that we aren't held responsible for any death or injury you gain during this time of examination. She yelled, getting nods from everyone. Good. You will be given either an Earth Scroll or a Heaven Scroll once your team has signed the waiver. What your objective is to take the other scroll from a team. What you do to get it is up to you. After you get the scroll, head to the tower at the center of the forest. You have 7 days to complete this. Do I make myself clear? She yelled, getting a slow nod from most. Alright then, form a line and sign your waiver. While everyone was in line, Naruto stood off waiting for the line to get shorter. He was glumped from behind and felt 2 medium-sized assets pressing against his back. Naruto-kun, why didn't you tell me you were going to be here? Hey there, Carrie-chan, long time no see, he said, trying to hide his blush while he wipes his nosebleed. Web of intrigue. During his travels, he stopped by Kumo. After gaining his wings, he stayed a few nights and met some of the people there. It turned out Jinchuriki weren't hated in the village, but few people still questioned it. He met Carrie at a produce stand. Naruto knew he was going to get involved eventually, and that happened when some bandits and a B-rank nukenin cornered her. She knew she was dead, and the way they looked at her body made her shiver in fright. Like most fake stories, Naruto was just flying around minding his own business when he saw the fight, knowing what would happen, boiled his blood to no end. Flaring his Sharingan and reshaping his arms to claws, nosedived and struck dead on the nukenin. The slaughter ended in matter of seconds. After consuming them, which disturbed Carrie, walked over to her and held his hand. She took it but fell on Naruto's chest, making her blush. Naruto looked down, her leg was bleeding badly. He picked her up bridal style, regrew his wings and took off back to Kumo. Carrie never forgot that day. During her time at the hospital, the only people that visited her were the Raikage, her adopted sister Yujito, her teammates, and Naruto. Naruto seemed to be the only one to break her from her tough exterior as she began to open up to the blonde Jinchuriki, and when Naruto claimed that he was leaving the next day, she had to think of a way to thank him. After Carrie left the hospital, she asked him to meet her at her house late at night. He asked her why and she only looked down and blushed heavily. That night when Naruto came by, she took his hand and led him to the bedroom. When they got there, Naruto asked her if she was okay. She looked at him blushing madly and planted a kiss on his lips. Naruto was shocked but kissed back. She began to undo her clothes and pushed him onto the bed. The following morning would have been the most eventful. The Raikage entered Carrie's room trying to find out what was wrong with her. She was acting up at first. He thought it was that time of the month, but that wasn't the case. When he came in, he was wide-eyed. 2 naked ninja were cuddling next to each other, made his blood boil. Hey! He yelled. Both teens shot up, still holding each other, looked at the Raikage, then at each other, then at themselves. Naruto lifted the sheets and saw their naked lower torso. Okay, I can explain, Naruto said sheepishly. Outside view, an electrical explosion blew the inside of Carrie's room and made the people passing by jump. They saw a half-naked boy wearing black boxers and coat jumping out holding most of his clothes, the Raikage in pursuit, and Carrie wearing white panties and Naruto shirt, following, pleading the Raikage not to hurt him. End of memory. Naruto-kun, you still haven't answered my question. She said, pouting. Sorry, Carrie-chan, I've been busy, he said defensively. You know that Raikage-sama has been looking for you. Fuck me, he said rather depressed. Funny thing actually, I managed to talk to him out of killing you, and instead he decided to. She mumbled the last part. What's that? I can't hear you. She whispered in his ear and made his eyes wide. An arranged marriage. After he found out you were Namikaze's son and having heard of your bloodline, he decided to form it between us, she said, blushing heavily. He smiled at her and kissed her on the lips. She leaned in, kissing back. "Let's get in line before they count us out," he said, getting a nod from her. Away in different groups, a green-haired girl looked in jealousy, a blonde Suna girl and two blonde Kumo girls was having thoughts about the blonde, and a black-haired Sound Nin was becoming weary of the blonde. It wasn't until both Naruto and Carrie got to the front of the line, signing his waiver, he noticed the proctor's hand slowly crawling up his. Looking up, he sees lust-filled eyes, which were turned into a hard glare between both Anko and Carrie. He turned in his form, but before he could go he was stuck between the two busty Konichi's assets, giving him a major nosebleed. He saw Anko's face, she had a shit-eating grin, and began to rub his crotch with her leg. He saw Carrie, who had a blush on her face, and placed his hand on her breast. Naruto quickly Kawamured, substitution jutsu, away before anything else could happen. Both Anko and Carrie cursed their luck before glaring at each other. Anko regained her composure and walked up. "Alright everyone, get to your gate number, on my mark you begin," she yelled as the gates opened. "Go." The teams rushed in and took to the trees. A1, Naruto was jumping through trees, using his hunter pulse to detect other teams. He spotted a team, but he was too far away. He heard a scream and rushed towards it. He found a team that was covered in leeches. One tried to jump on him, but was cut down by a kunai. More began to drop down, but Naruto easily maneuvered around them. He got to the team, who looked rather pale. It seems like the leeches drained their blood dry, or almost. He stabbed each one and searched the team. He found an earth scroll. Sadly, he already had one. He savaged some more and found some explosive tags, kunai, shuriken, wire, and blank scrolls. He took them all, placed each body and wrapped them together with the wire. He then placed explosive tags around them set to detonate in 1 hour. But then Naruto jumped up to a branch and continued. While jumping from branch to branch, he stopped for a bit. He searched his surroundings. Something big came through here. He jumped higher into the trees and created some clones to guard him while he slept. Day 2. Having woken up, he dispelled his clones, gaining their memories. So far nothing happened overnight. Naruto used his hunter pulse again and saw a team close by. He rushed towards them. As he got closer he noticed the scenery. There was large webbings on some of the trees. He landed near a cave and saw a lot of webbing around the mouth and some large cocoons or sacs. He used his hunter pulse again and saw the number of the team reduced to 1. His claws formed and rushed inside. Making his way inside he came across a large room full of webbing. He saw the bodies of 2 genin, but where was the third? Looking up he saw a giant spider with its fangs digging inside the now lifeless genin. It dropped the body and stared at Naruto. It crawled down till it was at ground level. "I take it you don't want to be friends," he said, gaining a loud shriek from the spider. "I thought not." The spider charged its 2 front legs up in the air, bearing its fangs. Naruto created a shadow clone and rushed cross-eyed, taking out 2 of its back legs. The spider shrieked in pain and shot webbing at Naruto. Getting caught, the spider rushed over to him, quickly substituting himself with his clone. Saving himself, Naruto jumped on the back of the spider, forming his hammer fist, smashed it to its body. The spider twitched for a bit before getting smashed again and again. Naruto shot tendrils and absorbed the spider. His hands began to sting as tendrils and biomass began to engulf his arms, changing his hands to 3 bulky fingers, prototype 2. Tendrils. While Naruto was inspecting his hands he saw more spiders crawling out. The first tried to pounce him. He shot his hand out, which looked like a cage punch. The fist hit the spider and was torn to shreds. Its legs and head was dangling in mid-air by 3 web-like tendrils. He continued the process, but more and more kept crawling out. He charged his fist and shot it at a nearby spider. To his surprise, tendrils shot out and pulled other spiders towards it, crushing it along with the others. Prototype 2. Black hole skill, quickly swapping back to the hammer fist, began crushing the spiders. The process lasted for a whole 20 minutes before he heard a large shriek. Turning around he came face to face with a 30-foot tarantula. It charged at Naruto, ramming him to a wall. Naruto retaliated by turning both his arms into spiked shields, stopping himself from hitting the webbed wall and pushing back the spider. Shifting his hands back to the hammer fist, Naruto jumped up, charged biomass to his arms, and dove both his hammer fist into the spider. Small spikes shot up and stabbed the spider from underneath. Naruto held both hands and crushed the spider's head. Tendrils shot out and consumed it. At first Naruto felt nothing, then he felt power rushing through him, and some debris began to levitate before falling back to the floor. Prototype 2. Mutation power-up sequence. Naruto hands morphed back to the tendrils. He noticed that they were darker and slightly smoother, like they were reinforced. Shrugging, Naruto searched the bodies of the fallen genin and found a heaven scroll. Tucking it away, he looted the rest of their belongings before charging biomass throughout his body and unleashing tendrils throughout the cave, causing it to collapse. Naruto dashed to the exit before it closed in. Looking back at the now closed cave, jumped back to the trees, creating a few clones to guard him while he rested. He may have fought bandits and nuke nin in the past, but those spiders really gave him the workout. Day 3. Naruto woke up feeling refreshed. He dispelled his clones gaining their memories. He saw they had killed a few tigers that were having thoughts about mauling him in his sleep. Jumping down, Naruto checked his bag, found the 3 scrolls, and headed towards the tower. As he neared he felt 9 chakra sources coming in fast, turning around a kunai embedded itself in his head. He looked up and took it out. 3 teams of Iwa Nin dropped down. Oh, you still haven't learned from the last time. Shut up Namikaze scum. Jeez, you guys still pissed about what happened during the war. Jesus Christ, you'd think you people would have gotten over it by now. Shut up. One yelled, charging blindly. Naruto activated his Sharingan and felt the stinging sensation from the written exams. He ignored it and dodged an incoming punch. Naruto grabbed his arm and punched a hole through the unlucky genin, consuming him. Naruto simply licked the blood off his fingers. So who's next? Why you, monster? I thought I told you that I'd kill you to prove my point across. Now are you going to run and live or fight and die? Naruto replied coldly. 2 of the genin began to shake in fear and ran. Cowards. Hey, those 2 were smart, and for taking my warning I won't kill them you however. Won't be as lucky. Naruto disappeared and his claws tore through the young Iwa, consuming him. Attack at long range. He can't hit you if you're far. The thought of winning was cut short as the very genin was impaled by a whip-like blade and pulled close. Naruto split him in half and consumed him. 2 more genin began to panic and run. Naruto smirked evilly at the remaining and walked slowly at the remaining genin, who was shaking like a leaf. Before he could reach the young Iwa Nin, a letter bomb landed between them, exploding. More landed on Naruto and began exploding. The Iwa genin looked up to see the first 2 genin that left land in front of him. When the dust cleared, it showed one of the Iwa Nin badly injured. They rushed to him, only to get stabbed by claws. Both looked in horror as the injured Iwa Nin became covered in biomass and reverting back to Naruto. He then consumed them. Naruto looted their belongings. He found 2 heaven scrolls and 1 earth scroll. He took their equipment and left the area. Later, we find him resting in a small hollow tree near a riverbank. Day 4. Naruto was jumping from tree to tree when he felt a sinister chakra. He turned and headed that way. He landed in a tree where he saw Konoha teams fighting the Sound team. The Uchiha had fire-like tattoo marks on his body rapidly spreading. He had just dislocated the arms of the black-haired Sound genin. He turned towards the girl of their team and was about to attack. Sakura got in the way, pleading for him to stop. The Uchiha instead made rapid hand signs and blew fireballs at her. Naruto dropped down, turning his arm into shield protecting both Sakura and the female Odo Nin. Sakura opened her eyes and looked at her savior, blushing madly. Naruto unconsciously activated his Sharingan, adding more chakra to them. He felt the stinging sensation again but then subdued. He looked at Sasuke dead in the eye and he froze. Naruto's eyes had changed. The outer pupil was now looked like blaze-like chakra, while the pupil itself looked like a buzzsaw with a dot in the center. Sasuke seethed in anger. This commoner had just achieved same eyes of the man he sworn to kill. How was it possible? That power should be his. Sasuke flared his Sharingan and charged, blinded by anger, towards Naruto. The marks on him began to spread rapidly, covering more of his body. Naruto, caught an incoming fist, twisted himself over Sasuke and chopped him in the back of the neck. Everyone sighed in relief. Sasuke was down and the marks began to retreat. Naruto bent down to Sakura's eye level, making her blush. You okay? I'm fine, she stuttered, staring at his new eyes, almost hypnotic. That's good, he sighed in relief, handing her and the other injured nin some healing salve and ointment. He turned to the bandaged Odo Nin. Hey, drop your scroll, and Scram. The nin complied, dropping a heaven scroll and took off both his teammates. Naruto began to walk off as Sakura and Sai picked up a scroll and Sasuke and made their way to the tower following Naruto, who was already ahead. Naruto began to feel tired. It seems the Mangekyo Sharingan uses more chakra than normal. He deactivated it and continued forward. 2 hours later, Naruto and Team 7 made it to the tower. He walked in and saw a large board with some sort of riddle on it. He and Team 7 brought out their scrolls and opened them. To their surprise, Team 7 got Iruka, who congratulated them, and Naruto got Anko, who also congratulated him but had a more special way of doing it. Instead of having him answer the riddle, she grabbed him and took him to his room. Once inside, she locked the door and put up a soundproof seal. She grabbed Naruto by the coat and began undressing him. Once he was stark naked, she undressed her top, showing her large assets. The lemon scene has been removed just after this. Now continuing, he looked at the woman he made love to and noticed a mark on her neck. It was the same as the one the Uchiha had in the forest. He frowned and thought, if I can find the person who placed it on her, I can either force him to tell me or just consume his ass and find out how to get rid of it. Hey, Enko-chan. She said, slightly tired. Would you like to join the Namikaze clan? Her eyes bolted open. She stared at him. I'm Undercraw, and you seem like my kind of woman, so I mean you don't have to, but he was cut off as Anko placed a firm kiss on his lips. Hi, arigato Naruto-koi, she said, lying on his chest. Knock, knock. Naruto-kun, are you in there? Harry-chan, Naruto thought, trying to think of a way to explain it to her, but before he could, Anko, who was still naked, opened the door, pulled her in and stripped her naked. Round 3. Anko said with a lustful smile. Naruto was standing in an open hall with a statue holding the ram sign. He was feeling great, but rather sore. Yesterday, he made love to his 2 fiancées. It was just as Anko had said, if you're old enough to kill, then you're old enough to drink and have sex. When Naruto told Carrie that he was under Kra and that he would be allowed to have a harem, she was a little disappointed and pissed that she couldn't have him to herself, but she wouldn't mind sharing. He glanced over at Carrie, who was standing next to him holding his hand. He turned around and spotted Anko, who was eyeing him lustfully. Naruto stood there. As the room began to fill up, he noticed that Anko was right. The teams were decreased by half, maybe even more, but then again, he did take out 4 teams and saw one get killed by a giant spider. Naruto thought about the past 5 days. He managed to obtain a new weapon, tendrils. Well, he could use them in the past in his Devastator attack. The attack he used on the spiders, which he called Black Hole, was almost like his biobomb technique. It pulls in objects and rams them together, crushing the target. The tendrils themselves seemed to tear victims from the inside out, leaving a few body parts dangling from web-like suspension. It seems the more powers he obtains, the more gruesome they become along the way. His Mangekyo Sharingan was something he did not expect. He confronted Kurama about it and told him the information he knew about all 5 levels. 1. Tomo see Chakra Flow and Jinjutsu. 2. Tomo clarify perception, easily recognize Jinjutsu, mimic movements, and track fast movement. 3. Tomo copy Jutsu, Nin, Gen, and Tai, hypnosis, and a Kinjutsu called Izanami. And I've done the research. Mangekyo isn't required for Izanami. Mangekyo Kinjutsu, Tsukiyomi, Amaterasu, Susanoo, Izanagi, Kamui and Yasaka Magatama. I Mangekyo immortality and hypnosis, human Bijuu control. This got Naruto interested. The final level could control the Bijuu and people, as if he wasn't sadistic enough already. Naruto asked how to obtain it. Kurama knew his host wouldn't do anything to the Bijuu unless it was necessary, and that sometimes he loved it when Naruto messed around with people before tearing them apart. He recalled Anko asking him to join the torture and interrogation division. Needless to say, Kurama agreed with her. He explained to him that the only way to obtain them was to gain the eyes of another Uchiha and transplant them. He went on about how using the Mangekyo would cause the user to lose their eyesight, which didn't really bother Naruto much, since he could just consume some random guy and take their vision. Naruto officially decided to train with his new Sharingan when he had the chance. He wanted Kurama to be his personal sensei. Kurama felt rather awkward about having his host take orders from him, but he accepted nonetheless. When Naruto asked about the Mangekyo ability, he immediately mentioned Izanagi and told Naruto he was leaving that one out and wasn't going to teach him. When Naruto asked why, he told him that it would cause him go blind and lose his vision, and that even if he consumed someone, he would have to consume a person for each time he used it, and surprisingly Naruto agreed to that. It would be too much of a hassle. Naruto was snapped out of his thoughts when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned and sure enough, it was the Uchiha. "Dope, I demand you tell me how you got my clan's eyes," he said with venom in his voice. Naruto looked unfazed. He took his hand off his shoulder, not wanting to start a fight in front of everyone, and it would look bad on his clan status. "You really want to know?" he said coldly. Sasuke grunted, but nodded. "I got these eyes by accident," he said, surprising everyone who was listening. "You know what I have sealed inside me, right?" he said, gaining a slow nod from Sasuke. "It happened 4 years ago. I left because of something I did in self-defense. A man named Danzo saw me as a weapon and thought it would be in everyone's interests, or rather his, to bring me back and turn me into a mindless weapon for his needs," he said, adding venom to the end. "While I was on my way to Wine Country, one of his personal guards called Root was sent to retrieve me. I killed and consumed each of them. What I didn't know was that the captain of the squad was an Uchiha named Yamato. After I consumed him, the Uchiha blood was embedded into my DNA, and I was given the Sharingan," he finished. Sasuke seemed to buy it because he loosened up a bit. "Be that as it may, that still doesn't explain how you managed to get the Sharingan's 4th level," he said, leaving everyone wide-eyed, including the Jonin in cages who have just walked in. "Truthfully, I don't know. It happened when I was fighting, you remember. I don't know what I did to get to this level," Naruto explained. "I see," Sasuke said, before walking away. "Those eyes," thought Sasuke bitterly. "Why should the dope get those eyes?" "Hey Kurama, how do you get the Mangekyo Sharingan?" "To obtain it, one must witness at first hand the death of someone close, but that alone doesn't trigger it. One must feel emotion when that happens," the nine-tailed beast explained. "What? But I never got close to anyone, let alone seen them die." Kurama knew this was true. During his time away from Konoha, Naruto stayed secluded from villages and only goes in for supplies and food. He's never gotten close to anyone other than Samui, and she's still alive, so what was it? "Maybe it's because you've fully mastered the Sharingan," he said. You think so? I mean I did use it a lot the first 3 years, and I've hardly used it afterwards, Naruto said, a bit confused. It's the only thing I can come up with, Kurama said. Naruto koi. Huh? Carry-chan, something the matter? We were spacing out, the Hokage's about to give a speech. Oh right, he said sheepishly. The genin stood and turned their attention toward Cage. Good to see so many of you pass the second exam, so a huge congratulations is in order. Not that many ever survive a day, let alone 5 in the forest of death. Now I would like to. He was cut off by a rather sick-looking jonin. Excuse me, cough, Hokage-sama, I believe I should cough, continue from here, cough. Ah yes, of course, hates, and please continue. Good, do I have cough, everyone's attention, cough, because there is still cough, so many of you, cough. We will be holding a cough preliminary match here, cough, to shorten down the cough, few who will advance, cough, to Chunin rank. Hiba spoke out, so this third test is a fight, right? That is cough, correct. That's sweet. Now before we cough continue, is there cough anyone here who cough wishes to quit? You will be cough allowed to stay here and cough watch the fights before being cough escorted from the tower along, cough everyone else. Hate finished. Naruto saw the silver-haired teen from the written exams raise his hand and was told to either stay or to return to his room. He left and the rest turned their attention to Hate. Will there be cough anyone else? No. Cough, well then could everyone cough go to the stands and wait cough for your name to appear cough on the screen, he said, with everyone going to the stand. They say the screen go through random names until it stopped on. And? Fights are the same as canon, except Shino fought Chaoji and Kiba fought Dosu, Yujito and Fu ended up in a draw, and Carrie's teammates fought each other, and their fights ended in a draw. Sorry, but they really don't have any point in this story. Next cough match. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze vs Zaku Apumi. The another weak genin that will end up dead by my hand, said Zaku arrogantly. Oh, this coming from a guy wearing an arm cast, Naruto replied lazily, making Zaku get eye twitchy and a tick mark on his head. Whatever, bring it on. Are both sides cough ready? Hey Jim. Hate said, jumping back. Zaku raised his still functioning arm. Zenkuha. Decapitating airwaves, yelled, sending a visible airwave. Naruto jumped to the side. Zaku kept on shooting airwaves at Naruto. Up in the stands, he's not giving Naruto an opening, all he can do is dodge, said Carrie. Don't worry about him, he's plotting something, I just know it, said Kakashi, wondering what the blonde would do. Naruto-kun. Thought a worried Anko. Naruto didn't attack, he was just dodging, his face looked impassive. Damn it, stand still. Zaku yelled. Why doesn't he use the Sharingan? He could instantly win with that new level, thought Sasuke, who managed to not pass out or lose as much chakra during his fight. Naruto continued dodging until Zaku began to look rather tired. Am I running out of chakra? Wait, that's what he was doing. He's making me tire myself out. He mentally yelled. Naruto stopped and stared. Well, that was a nice workout, though not as good as dodging wind-enhanced kunai, but still nice, he said, shocking everyone. Naruto had made Zaku deplete his own chakra, while Naruto hadn't wasted little over 2% of his own, thus angering Zaku. You shut up. He yelled, forcing his broken arm up. What, he could use his other arm? Yelled a surprised Sakura. Zenku Kikuha. Extreme decapitating airwaves, he yelled, letting loose a huge air blast, hitting Naruto dead on, causing dust and debris to explode the surrounding area. Naruto. Yelled Sakura, Hinata, Kakashi, Samui, Anko, and Hiruzen, while Temari and Kin showed worry on their face. The dust cleared, showing a large black spiked shield, which retracted into Naruto's arm. You done? He said impassively, not affected by the attack. Zaku, however, showed fear in his face. Good, cause it's my turn, he said, disappearing from sight and reappearing crouched in front of Zaku, hitting him with a powerful uppercut, sending him flying high. Naruto sent biomass to his legs and jumped higher. He transformed his hands into the 3-fingered tendrils, shot them towards the ground on both of Zaku's sides, leaving him in range of attack. Naruto slingshot himself, stomping down hard on Zaku, sending both to the ground, creating a medium-sized crater, and prototype 2 tendril helicopter finisher. Zaku laid on the cracked ground, his ribs completely broken, piercing his lungs, crushing his spine, his other arm, and shattering the bones of his entire torso. Medics rushed over to him. They were shocked. They announced he would be dead in a matter of minutes. Now everyone was staring there wide-eyed, with an expression of shock, awe, and fear. The ones that were in shock were the Raikage, the Sand siblings, Sasuke, Tenten, Neji, Lee, and most of the Rookie 9. The ones that showed awe were Sakura, Hinata, Samui, Kakashi, Hiruzen, Mei, Fu, and Yujito. Finally fear, which was at the heart of the rest of the genin, praying that if they win their rounds, they wouldn't have to fight. Kitten, it's him, it's Kurama-kun, said the delighted two-tailed tenant. Kurama-kun. That's Kyuubi's Jinchuriki kitten. I never thought he'd be sealed into that stud. I mean, look at him, strong, fierce, and I bet he's great in bed. Matatabi. She mentally yelled, getting a full-face blush. You know you want it. She yelled to her host. But the Taki Nin. Holy shit, did you see that? That was awesome. Kurama's host shows great promise. You aren't thinking about getting with him, are you? Then ooh. TSK, yeah right. Naruto looked at Zaku's dying form, he just walked to him ignoring the medic nins and stomped on his head. Everyone watched in both horror and awe as black and red tendrils shot out and consumed Zaku. Naruto clutched his head slightly before looking at Kin. He just smiled at her, she gained a blush and turned away. From what Naruto gained from Zaku's memories, he was always hitting and yelling at her, quite frankly he did Kin a favor. Shaosha, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Said Hade. In the corner, an Odo Jonin with a curtain mask licked his lips, Kukuku, I think I've found a body better than Sasuke-kun's. Naruto looked at the Hokage, he saw his face that said, we're going to have a talk later. Naruto simply looked at him and shrugged, scratching the back of his head before sprouting his wings, which surprised mostly everyone, and flew up to the stands. Naruto turned back to watch, and before he could retract his wings he felt a tug on them. He turned to both sides and noticed Sakura and Hinata feeling them up. Wow, they're so soft, said Sakura. Hinata picked up a black feather off the floor and held it close. See, can I keep this? And Naruto. He smiled at her. Hi, Hinata. She flushed neon red and promptly fainted. Naruto chuckled, picked her up and sat her up. Next cough match. Hinata Hyuga vs Neji Hyuga. And fight same as canon. I know I'm too lazy and I forgot most of Neji's rambling. Hinata was holding the side of her torso and was bleeding from the mouth. Why do you keep getting up? You were a failure and always have been. Nothing will ever change that, Neji said, arrogantly. I know I can't win, and I know I can and never amount to everyone's expectations, but there I is someone I've always looked up to. He's the reason I don't quit. I have someone worth fighting for, and that is why I continue fighting to protect the ones I see carefree even if I end up losing my life, she said in between breaths. This shocked everyone. Neji just stared at her. Let's test that theory, he said, charging at her with the attempt to finish her off. Every Jonin was ready to stop him, but before they could, a tri-pronged kunai landed by Hinata's feet. In a dark red flash, Naruto appeared in front of Neji, grabbed his wrist and tossing him to the side. The Kages and Jonin were slack-jawed. That was Minato's Hiraishin. Are guys going to stand there all day, medics? He yelled, snapping them out of their stupor. They ran to Hinata and placed her on a stretcher. They attempted to use medical jutsu which seemed to fail. Kureha rushed to her. Her lungs are failing. He was really trying to kill her, said one of the medics. The rookie 9 were now getting worried. Hinata had been their academy friend and her cousin had attempted to kill her. Naruto glared at Neji, who was getting up before kneeling down besides Hinata. Naruto began making hand signs. Ox, Tiger Shosen no Jutsu, mystical palm technique. A dark blue flame appeared at Naruto's hands. He placed them on Hinata's chest and her breathing began to slow down. Hiruzen, Kakashi, and Kureha were surprised. The Shosen Jutsu was known by very few medic shinobi. They required chakra reserves of from high chunin to mid jonin to be able to use. Hinata's face became peaceful and she began to breathe normally. She'll be fine, just let her rest, he said, reassuring. Kureha thanked him for saving her student. Naruto waved it off before glaring at Neji. I don't understand why you helped her. A failure is always a failure. You know, if she really wanted to beat you she'd activate that fucking mark on your forehead, he said, shocking Neji, Hiruzen, and the Jonin. Know this, pray we don't end up as opponents, otherwise I'll make what I did to Zaku look like child's play, because no one messes with my friends, said, giving him a death glare and unleashing Kai, dropping him to his knees. He turned and walked up the stand. Next match. Cough. Rock Lee vs Ibaku no Gaara. And fight same as canon. You can hate all you want, but it won't change a thing. Would the winners cough please come down and cough, draw a number, Hade said. They walked down, got in line and picked a ball from the box. Neji said. 7 said Temari. 4 said Gaara. 5 said Kankuro. 8 said Shikamaru. 6 said Shino. 3 said Sasuke. Naruto smirked. 1. Neji was begun to sweat. Everyone was mentally said, oh, he's fucked, or I do not pity him. Hiruzen got up and spoke. Well done everyone, those who have won will continue in 1 month. This will give everyone time to train themselves for their respected match. With that said, good luck to all of you, he said. As everyone started to leave, Naruto, he stopped mid-step. Come with me, Naruto groaned and followed suit. Our office. Naruto walked in and saw Mei, and Kakashi there. Hey Kakashi Nai, hey Mei-san, he said, then turned to A. Hey there Reikage-sama, he said nervously, hoping he wasn't pissed at him for sleeping with his niece. He walked up, placed a bone-crushing hand on his shoulder and whispered, if you hurt her, make her cry, even make her sad one time, I'm coming at you with razor blades and lemon juice, you feel me? I'm talking pain, boy, serious mind-numbing pain, you understand me? And Cookie, to who knows this reference. Gulp, why yes. He patted him on the back, good to know, take care of my niece, he said, all friendly like, making Naruto shake like a leaf. Okay, first off Naruto, congratulations on making it to the finals and the Hiraishin. I never thought I'd see it again, he said, getting a sheepish laugh from Naruto. Second, Naruto, I thought you were going to keep your bloodline abilities a secret, you know, with Orochimaru here, and if he saw you, he'd want to take your body, he said, gaining shudders from Naruto, Kakashi, and Mei. Wait, you mean like giving me that mark that Sasuke and Anko-chan have? Yes, wait, Anko-chan. Well, you see, she kinda came up to me after the second exam, and we kinda ended up doing it, getting wide eyes from Hiruzen, Kakashi, Mei and A, who was looking kinda pissed. You haven't been engaged for over a week and you're already cheating on her. I yelled, choking Naruto off his feet. I'm gak under Kra gak, I have a gak harem, Naruto barely managed to say. I looked at him and slowly putting him down, giving him a suspicious look. Besides, Pankari-chan joined halfway, so I don't really see the problem, he said. I picked him up and choked him again. Kakashi and Hiruzen were giggling like little schoolgirls, and Mei had an atomic blush on her face. Then minutes later, Kakashi and Mei pried Naruto off A's grip. Okay, Naruto, the third reason why you're here, we heard Sasuke's outburst. What is this about you gaining the 4th level of Sharingan? He said, with all of them leaning and wanting to know. It's true, but honestly I don't know how I got it, he lied, knowing full well on how he got it. Could you show it to us? Naruto shrugged, he closed his eyes and sent chakra to them. He opened them, his outer pupils looked like a blaze chakram, and the pupil itself looked like a buzzsaw with a single dot in the center. And this is how it looks like, just without the 4-sided shuriken in the center. That will be with his eternal Mangekyo. Cookie to whoever guesses who he gets it from. Art Blaze's Mangekyo Sharingan FP 102,751,394. Everyone stared at him. It seriously made Naruto look intimidating. Amazing. What can it do? Well, the Sharingan isn't my bloodline, and I just got this 2 days ago, so I really don't know what it does, he lied again. Of course, since Naruto put logic into his statement, they instantly bought it. I see, well then, good luck on your training, Naruto. Me and the rest of the cages have matters to attend to. Right later, Jiji, Mei-san Reikage-sama, he said. My threat still lingers. Gulp. But that Naruto and Kakashi left the tower. Naruto was currently in the hospital with Hinata. The Shosen no Jutsu, mystical palm technique, managed to stop Hinata's lungs from being ruptured, but she still needed medical treatment. Naruto always uses biomass to heal his wounds, so he hardly ever used the jutsu. Hinata was lucky. Are you sure this is what you want, Hinata? Why yes, I know Niji hates the M main branch, but he doesn't deserve to die, she said wearingly. Hinata, what Niji did was unforgivable. He was going to kill you without a hint of remorse. I can't. No, I won't allow him to live any longer, Naruto said, his pupils glowing yellow and biomass crawling around his arms. Then Naruto, please calm down, she pleaded. Naruto looked at her, his eyes softened and returned to normal. Fine, I'll let him live, but that won't stop me from kicking his ass, he stated. Hinata smiled. Arigato, Naruto. Naruto looked at her a bit surprised and smiled. Hey, you didn't stutter. Beep. She blushed. Naruto chuckled. Well, I gotta go train now that I got a new Sharingan and a new play toy. I wanna know how to use them, he said with a sadistic smirk. Hi. Naruto sighed. So close, oh well, later Hinata, he said and left the room. Hinata blushed atomic red and fainted. Main lobby. Naruto had just walked in the lobby and spotted Kakashi reading a familiar orange book. Kakashi Nai? What are you doing here? Oh Whiskers, I'm here because I applied a seal on the curse mark Orochimaru placed on Sasuke. It left him unconscious, and I'm just here to drop him off, he said. I see. Hey Kakashi Nai, do you think it's possible to train me for the month? Kakashi looked down. Sorry Whiskers, I've got to train Sasuke. You've seen who he has to fight. Sasuke's going to need all the help he can get, he said. Sigh. I see, it was the council, wasn't it? Partially they did order that I train him because I possess the Sharingan and that I could teach him my jutsu, though it's kind of funny that they didn't ask you. I heard about what happened at the council last week, and with you having the Mangekyo, I was honestly thinking they'd order you train him, he stated. They wouldn't ask me even if their own life depended on it. I'm the Kyuubi brat, remember? He said smirking. Kakashi laughed sheepishly. Well, why ask me though, aren't you strong enough already? Well, yeah, but I've always relied on my bloodline. I want to practice on my jutsu as well. Kakashi smiled at Naruto. Just like Itachi, he didn't rely on his bloodline like most Uchihas, and now he was following suit. Then he remembered something. Hey Whiskers, I know you lied to the Hokage about the Sharingan. Seriously, how'd you get it? He asked. Nothing gets past you, huh? Why do you want it anyway? No reason, just wanted to know. He said with a U-shaped eye smile. Naruto just stared at him with a deadpan look. What? I'm serious, he said. Naruto got a serious look. Rooftop. Now he disappeared in swirl of black feathers. And yup, personal shunshin unless someone else used it before. I'll call my bad. Kakashi looked around. He noticed people were watching. He quickly disappeared in poof of smoke. Rooftops. When Kakashi appeared in a poof of smoke, he saw Naruto leaning over the railing with his arms looking out into the village. Kakashi walked over and looked out as well. Kakashi, the reason I don't want to tell you because of what you have to do to unlock it and the risks of using it. Kakashi looked at him, if you really don't want to tell me then don't, it's okay. Kakashi Nai to unlock the Mangekyo one must kill the closest person to them, and using it repeatedly will cause the user to go blind. Kakashi was wide-eyed, he had to kill his closest friend, he wouldn't be able to live with himself if he did that, then it came to him, if Naruto has it, then he must have killed someone before. Naruto, did you? No, I must have been a different case, even Kurama couldn't figure it out. Kurama? You didn't think the tailed beasts were named after their tails, did you? Kakashi was surprised, the tailed beasts had names and Naruto trusted it. Look Kakashi Nai, I don't know why you want the Mangekyo, but it's best that you don't, and if you do gain it, don't rely on it, Naruto said, sprouting his wings and taking off, leaving Kakashi to ponder on what he just said. In the shadows, a teen with red hair sat on a nearby roof observing the conversation. The fuck does Orochi team want with a blonde anyway, he doesn't seem all the strong is it for his wings? She asked herself. Flashback, everything is falling into place once it's Sasuke's turn to fight, we'll initiate the invasion, you four set the barrier, make sure no one gets in, said the snake Sanin. Hi, Orochimaru-sama. They all shouted before leaving to their quarters. Hey, she turned and glared, hi. Orochimaru-sama. There is someone I want, his abilities will be very useful to me, I want you to recruit him. She sneered at the man, he was just going to give the poor guy a curse mark, then wait until he's weak to take his body. Who is it? She said with venom. His name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. She was wide-eyed, she has heard of the boy before, recently she got a hold of a bingo book and saw his info, not only that but, he was the son of the Yondaime Hokage. He is the village's Jinchuriki, I know that the Kyuubi will try and stop my influence from spreading, but in time he will fall just like everyone else, he said chuckling evilly. Heiaya placed her hand on her neck and glared at him, it shall be done. Good. End of flashback. This is gonna be a pain in the ass, she said, disappearing in a body flicker. Training ground 44, Forest of Death. She poofs in front of the forest and sees Naruto jumping over the fence and jumping into the trees, she followed suit. She followed him for at least an hour, she began to add chakra to her leaps just to keep up with him, however the moment she did Naruto phase from existence, she stopped and looked around, she couldn't find him. Where the fuck did he go? Red hair, foul mouth, and what Dosu calls, a sadist in battle, you must be Tei, right? She turned around and saw Naruto sitting on a branch higher than her, he had his legs spread and arms hanging lazily from them. She didn't say anything, just watching his movement, I'll take that as a yes. So what is a lovely lady like you, stalking little old me, he said almost mocking. She didn't pick it up, she was blushing at being called lovely, it is in my master's best interest if you were to join us, she said. Thanks for the offer but I must decline. I know what your master wants, and he won't be able to leave that hickey on me. Tei narrowed her eyes, Naruto knew about what Orochimaru wanted but, how? I also know why you're with him, it's because he threatened to kill Kin and ended up killing her the moment you joined him, he said. Tei became annoyed and angered. Shut up, what the fuck do you know? She was my best friend and that bastard killed her to get to me. She yelled. And what if I told you that Kin was alive and that she is currently at my estate, he said, shocking Tei. Why you lie, I saw the body, don't play games with me. I'm not lying, she was badly hurt after, Orochimaru ordered Dosu to place a seal on her, to transfer her soul to use for his Edo Tensei, impure world resurrection. I merely saved her life and brought her to my estate, Naruto said, throwing the tag seal in front of her. Tei was furious, Orochimaru had lied to her, used her, and was going to use her best friend as a scapegoat. And I see her, she said. Naruto appeared in front of her and held out his hand, she slowly took it and they both disappeared in a swirl of black feathers. Naruto's estate. Naruto and Tei appeared in a bedroom, Tei looked around and spotted her black-haired friend. Kin? The Tei. Friends squealed and hugged each other, Naruto blushed as he saw their breasts pressing against each other, he quickly turned away before he got a nosebleed. Tei, what are you doing here, I thought you were dead. Me? I thought you were dead. Orochimaru lied to both of you, they both turned to Naruto. I know about the invasion and know what he's here for, Tei. I know you probably don't trust me enough, or hardly at all, but I need to know one thing, he stated. Kin and Tei looked at each other and looked back at him. What do you want to know? They asked, Naruto grinned. Where are the Sound 4 meeting? In a secluded area, few miles away from Konoha, we move out the day of the finals, Tei answered. I see, are any of them are your friends? No. She instantly replied. What are you going to do? Kin asked, thinking she knew the answer. The same thing I did to your teammates, only with style, he said, gaining sweat drops from both. I wonder what he means. I mean, this guy is a SS rank genin, so he should be fine, but still. It's okay girls, I got what I wanted. Oh, and Tei, to get rid of the curse mark you have to kill the person who gave it to you, right? She nods slowly, yeah, but I mean I know you're strong, but I don't think you can take on Orochimaru, she says. No worries, I'll kill him when the time comes. In the meantime I'm heading towards Uzushiogakure. My clan was known to be masters at sealing. Maybe there's something in the ruins that can help me permanently destroy the mark, he said, getting wide-eyed expression from Taiya and Kin. Why would you go so far for me? She said. I don't know, I don't think it matters, I just know it's the right thing to do. Besides, I kinda like you too, he said, getting heavy blushes from both girls. So what do you say, want to join the Namikaze clan? He said. Taiya stared in disbelief. This boy was willing to go so far for her and her friend, he even offered them sanctuary. Taiya looked at him dead in the eyes and smiled for the first time so many years. This even got Kin surprised. I accept your offer, Naruto-sama, she said. Naruto smiled at her and turned to Kin. If Taiya stays, then so do I accept your offer, Naruto-sama. Naruto just smiled at both of them. Now girls, there's no need for formalities, just Naruto will do, he said. Both girls looked at each other, smiled and placed a kiss on both of his cheeks. He blushed and laughed sheepishly. Well, I better go, got stuff to do, things to learn, certain bodyguards to kill, Chow, he said, disappearing in a swirl of black feathers. He's cute. DSK, who cares, I just can't wait to be free of that damn snake. Yeah, but you got to admit, he is the looker. Ugh. Oh, don't start, I saw the way you were looking at him. Taiya blushed and turned away. So what, he's strong and of course I'm attracted to strong guys. See, you just admitted it, Kin said, grinning like an idiot. Shut up. Forest outside Konoha. Naruto had just informed the cages of where Orochimaru's guards were. Hiruzen, knowing that Naruto's consume ability could give them the memories of his victims, allowed him to search and destroy, assigning him an S-rank mission. Reason being that there might have been a chance that Orochimaru was there himself. His objective was to slay Orochimaru's guards, consume them, and report back what they knew. Naruto was jumping from tree to tree, using his bloodline, knowing that if he used chakra, it would immediately alert the Odo Nin. He was currently using Hunter Pulse. Naruto could see the distance between them and decided to wait until nightfall before he took down the remaining sound 4 or rather 3. Nightfall, Naruto was outside the base. He quickly spread biomass throughout his body and turned into Dosu. He walked in, the place was dark and rather empty. He used thermal vision to see through the dark and activated Hunter Pulse to see where they were. He found a rather fat-looking Odo Nin. He turned to him. Dosu. The fuck are you doing here? He asked, but before he knew it, Naruto rushed up to him and sliced off his head. Naruto waited until the curse mark disappeared before consuming him. Kurama told him that though he couldn't gain it from Orochimaru, it would be possible for him to get it if he consumed someone who had it. After consuming, Naruto clutched his head. Web of intrigue. Everything is falling into place once it's Sasuke's turn to fight. We'll initiate the invasion. You four set the barrier, make sure no one gets in, said the Snake Sannin. Hi, Orochimaru-sama. They all shouted before leaving to their quarters. They noticed Taiya stayed behind, wonder what Orochi-sama wanted with Taiya. DSK, who gives a shit, we got our jobs, don't ask questions and do what you're supposed to do, said a 6-armed teen. Yeah, why question Orochimaru-sama, his orders are absolute, said a 2-headed boy. Whatever, said the fat teen. End of memory. Naruto stopped clutching his head and reverted back to normal. The lights went on and he turned around to see the 2 remaining Sound 4 as well as a few operatives, Chunin and Jonin. The fuck did you do to Jirobo? Yelled the 2-headed one. It doesn't matter, Seiken, the fat bastard's dead and Taiya probably is too. Let's just kill his ass and get this over with, said the 6-armed teen. The Chunin and Jonin charged, weapons drawn. Naruto looked unfazed. Looking up slightly, Seiken saw his eyes. They were red in color. His outer pupil took the shape of a blaze like chakram. His inner pupil took the shape of a buzzsaw with a single dot in the center. Before anyone knew it, the Chunin and Jonin were burned in a black flame. Amaterasu, Naruto whispered as his left eye began to bleed. Don't know what the fuck was that, but know that your attack won't do good on us, said the 4-armed teen, activating his curse mark. Already going curse mark, Kidomaru. Shut up, Yukin. He said, making rapid hand signs. Kumosoka, spider web flower, he shouted, shooting out inward webs. Naruto jumped up and made rapid hand signs. Bashusen no jutsu, coil of fire, Naruto said, spilling out a wave of flames. Both Kidomaru and Seiken dodged. Naruto appeared in front of Seiken, claws piercing his chest and another slicing off his head. To Naruto's surprise, the second head went in control and kicked him away. Seiken, you killed my brother, he said, trembling with rage. Naruto cracked his neck, then he heard a poof. Fuchius no jutsu. Kyodagumo. Yelled Kidomaru. Out of the smoke appeared a giant tarantula. Oh, those were your summoning back in that cave. Naruto said. The tarantula screeched and charged. Apparently the nest in the cave was the location of the spider summonings. Naruto's arms shifted into the hammer fists. He jumped up, avoiding the pincers, and slammed a fist on its head, making it poof away. Now both Kidomaru and Yukin were on guard, waiting for him to come to them. Oh, I see, if you won't come for me, I'll come to you. Naruto said, charging biomass into his entire body. Both Kidomaru and Yukin were starting to sweat. Who knew what the blonde was planning? Sadly, they never stood a chance. Naruto shot out his tendril burst, piercing both of them and the entire base, bringing it down. As the base was falling apart, Naruto looked at the dying forms of the two, and once the curse mark disappeared, he consumed them. Just as the roof collapsed, Naruto jumped and smashed the falling roof with his hammer fist, creating a hole large enough for him to escape. Naruto was currently sitting on a T watching the base collapse. Once it finished, he sprouted his wings and flew back to the village. Once in the Hokage Tower, he explained to them that the guards were to create a barrier so that no one would interfere between both Orochimaru and Hiruzen. He also told him about what he planned to do with his genin, trade their souls so that he could use Ito Tensei. The three Kages were not pleased by this, the bastard. How could he sacrifice his own genin to bring back the dead, and what was worse if one was from the belly of the Shinigami? Naruto told them that he had adopted Kin and Taiya into his clan and that he plans on going to the Uzushiogaka ruins to find remains for sealing as a way to remove the curse mark. Hiruzen and the Kages smiled at the boy's determination to help his new family. He nodded and gave Naruto his payment and travel pass. He walked up to the window, sprouted his wings and took off. 28 days until exam finals. Naruto descended from the sky. He had rested a bit before traveling and visited Inari and his family. Naruto walked up to the shore and saw the whirlpools protecting its surroundings. Naruto flew across. He saw the ruins of his family home and was slightly depressed. Naruto walked around and entered each house, scavenging whatever he could find. 8 hours later, he made it to the tattered cage tower. Naruto walked in and made his way to the top, searching each room along the way. Naruto made it to the top and searched every inch of the room. He found a safe, and using his claws, he pierced the lock and tore it off. He found a large scroll. He tried opening it but failed. Then he cut his hand with a kunai, letting the blood spill on the scroll. It glowed yellow and opened up. Naruto took out a few empty scrolls and began copying them. He knew it would be faster with a Sharingan, but thought it would be better to have copies of the scroll. 24 days until exam finals. Naruto put his pen down and sighed heavily. He was finally done copying the scroll. He wrapped the copies up and put it in his pouch. He took the bigger scroll and wrapped it around his back. He went to his mother's old home and began studying. He took breaks from time to time and found a tattered picture book with pics of his mom, aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa, cousins. He smiled at the pics. He placed the book in his bag and continued studying. Within 5 hours, Naruto was able to modify his father's Kyaku Fuin contract seal so that instead of removing summoners' control of their summons, he could destroy a person's influence over a person. He also made it so that it would allow the victim to retain the power of their mark without having it consume their life force. Basically, he would have modified the curse mark to those who have gone to level 2 and turn it into what Naruto calls the Denjin no Maku, mark of power, thus removing Orochimaru's Hiki and replacing it with his own. Naruto was proud of himself. He had created a way to destroy the curse mark, only problem now was practicing it. 14 days until exam finals. Naruto was on the floor panting. He looked around and the entire room had writings over it, on the ceiling, on the walls, on the floor. Naruto smiled in relief. He had done it. He had mastered his modified Kyaku Fuin. Naruto created clones and had them jot down what he had wrote all over the place. After they were done, they cleaned up the house, removing everything he had wrote, leaving no evidence of his work except for the scrolls he possessed in his bag and pouch. Naruto took one last look at his mother's home and walked out, taking the remains of the Uzumaki clan with him. 12 days until exam finals. Hiruzen, Anko, Samui, Kin, Taiya, Mei, and A were standing in Naruto's basement. He had walked in and showed them everything about his clan, showing them the scrolls, the pictures, and finally the notes on the seal he created. Anko wanted to be the first to get her seal removed. He told her to remove her top and politely asked the men to turn away. He made 50 hand signs and called out Zen Kyaku Fuin, placing his palm on her neck. She bit her lip as she felt pain in her neck area. Black smoke began to burst out of the seal until there was nothing. The mark itself was gone. She opened her eyes, touched her neck, she felt nothing, the pain was gone. She turned to Naruto and began to cry hysterically. He knew what was coming, so he opened his arms and she tackled him. She was smothering him with kisses and was saying, "Thank you," over and over again. Kin and Taiya were feeling a tad jealous. Carrie was giggling herself at her future husband's predicament. Up next was Taiya. She took off her top, showing perfect C cups, making Naruto get a nosebleed. "Like what you see," she smirked. Naruto wiped the blood off his nose and began the same process with Taiya. In the end, the mark on her neck shifted to look like tribal mark resembling wings, and think the mark on the back of Mercer's sweater. She felt something strange, something pure, something stronger. She felt great. She turned to Naruto and smirked. Before he knew it, she was kissing him full on the lips, surprising everyone. "Wow, she's great kiss, oh my god, is that her tongue?" thought Naruto as Taiya began to French him. Ahem. They both parted. Naruto had a full body flush and was steaming from the head, while Taiya licked her lips. This is great, Naruto, with your new seal, we no longer have to worry about others gaining the curse mark. Hiruzen said, gaining nods from the two other cages. Well, since the seal was modified from my father's, and since it surpasses it, I have to place it as a clan technique, hope that's alright. Naruto stated. It's fine, Naruto, the Uzumaki clan were masters of Fuinjutsu, and since it is a sealing technique you have every right to keep it, Hiruzen replied, getting Naruto's trademark grin in return. Boy, Gigi, recently I've asked Taiya and Kin to join my clan, do you think it's okay to instate them onto our shinobi ranks? He asked. Taiya and Kin looked at him, and Hiruzen smiled. Any member of the Namikaze clan is more than welcome amongst our ranks, stop by my office, I'll set up the documents, determine your rank and give you a leaf hit, Taiya said. Kin beamed and Taiya smirked, rubbing her nose with her finger. Well then, guy, I've got less than 2 weeks to train myself for the finals. Wait, let me rephrase that, train myself for the invasion. Anybody needs me, I'll be in the training grounds out back, he said, leaving 4 girls and 3 cages to talk amongst themselves. Namikaze private training ground. Naruto was walking towards the training ground. He began to recall the events that have occurred within the past 3 weeks. He finally traveled to his family home, which was in ruins. He easily took out Orochimaru's Sound 4 and had one join Konoha and his clan. He even saved Kin from certain demise. He remembered it like it was yesterday. Web of intrigue. Naruto was walking up the stairs of the hospital when he heard a scream. He activated his hunter pulse to pinpoint it. He found 2 people in a room at the end of the hallway. He walked outside of it and listened. Dosu W, what are you doing? Asked a terrified Kin. I'm sorry for doing this, Kin, but it's Orochimaru-sama's orders, please don't take this personally, Dosu said, taking out a paper tag and moved toward Kin. However, before he could take the first step, a sharp whip wrapped around Dosu's neck and removed his head from his body. The blood splashed up, landed on the ceiling, the windows, the floor, the walls, even on Kin. She sat on the floor staring at the remains of her ex-teammate. She then noticed black and red tendrils shooting out, consuming Dosu. She looked up to see her blonde savior. He walked to her, she backed away. When she hit the wall, she closed her eyes and awaited pain. Surprisingly, it never came. She slowly opened her eyes to see him kneel in front of her. Are you okay? He asked. Kin slowly nodded. Naruto looked at the room, then back at her. Do you wish to stay with me? He asked her. She thought about it. Her ex-teammate tried to put some weird seal on her. Her other dead teammate always abused her, and her current master could care less about what happened to her. All in all, what did she have to lose? She gave Naruto a nod. He extended his hand, which she grabbed. Naruto pulled her up. He held her hand and walked over to the intercom. She was wondering what he was going to do. He pressed the button. Don't worry, we'll send someone to clean the sheets and whatnot, said the person over the intercom. Yeah, it's a real mess in here. We got a body and there's blood everywhere, Naruto said. After a moment of silence, the man over the intercom spoke. What the fuck? Man? Cookie, to who knows this reference? Clue. It's from a video game and I changed it up a bit. Naruto cut communications and laughed his ass off. Even Kin was trying not to laugh, which she was failing at, by the way. He wrapped an arm around her, she blushed, and they disappeared in a swirl of black feathers. End of memory. Naruto snickered at the guy's reaction. He made it outside and got into a meditative stance as he entered his mindscape. Naruto's mindscape. Unlike the previous times he had came into his own mind, he had a chance to modify the inside of his mind. What once looked like sewer now looked like the reminiscence of a battlefield. Naruto walked across it, ignoring the corpses on the floor with weapons sticking out. Kurama's personal touch. He came across his gates. Kurama was fully visible and could see his 9 tails swirling around. Hey Kurama, so you ready? Yup, let's do this. Just to let you know, because we only have less than 2 weeks to train, I'll only be able to teach you how to use the Mangekyo's Kenjutsu. I know it's going to take up the rest of the entire 2 weeks you have left, don't sweat it, though knowing you, you'd probably end up training to master it after the invasion, so let's do this. Kurama said, as Naruto stepped into the cage, and Kurama took human form, which looked exactly like an older Naruto, only with red shoulder-length hair, demon-like features like ears, tails, claws, sharp canines, and was wearing a red-orange battle kimono. Activate the Mangekyo when you're ready, he said. Naruto nodded and activated his Mangekyo, ready. But now the first technique you need to learn is. 1 day left until exam finals. Naruto had trained with Kurama the past 2 weeks and occasionally practiced Genjutsu with Kin and Taiya. Samui taught him some of her personal Kenjutsu styles. Anko, on the other hand, was taught by Naruto his way to torture and interrogate people. Needless to say, she was falling for the blonde more and more. Kurama was a real sadist when it came to training. He was really knowledgeable about the Mangekyo. The first ability Naruto was taught was a Kenjutsu called Susanoo. It worked in both offense and defense. Naruto's Susanoo was dark blue in color and of course looked like a demonic skeleton. However, what surprised him was that it was armored in some places. Like it had a shoulder pad on both his arms that were curved to upwards like spikes. It also had a demon-like helmet with horns and a broken katana hilt. Yes, the Susanoo was incomplete until Naruto had the Iron Mangekyo. He was stuck in with an incomplete Susanoo. The next one, Naruto had trouble activating. It was a genjutsu called Tsukiyomi. Taiya volunteered to help out. Once they were in the red zone, Naruto deactivated it and repeatedly tried it. He had to call quits for a while because his right eye was bleeding. The third Naruto had no trouble using since he had used it in the past, Amaterasu, the sun goddess, the black flames said to always hit their target, to be as hot as the sun, to burn for many days and nights without simmering down. Naruto didn't need practice activating it, so he waited to train using it along with the others. The fourth Kamui was cool in Naruto's point of view. It could rip a hole in time and suck things up to another dimension. Naruto used it once before bled from both eyes. Naruto walked away from the training ground, hoping to find some animal to consume and fix his vision. Naruto had to skip the fifth ability, Yasaka Magatama, since it could only be used when in Susanoo. So for the rest of the remaining days, Kurama trained Naruto to use Izanami. The ability itself is a kenjutsu that repeats itself, so it traps its victim within a repeating loop of events. Despite the victim being aware of the process, he or she is unable to alter or escape the progression. And while under the effect of Izanami, the target will stand motionless, while the loop of events continually replays within their mind. Naruto was close to perfecting it, but there was something he was missing. The only question was what. From what Sasuke told him, Itachi also had the Mangekyo, and so did the masked man that controlled Kurama 13 years ago. The only person that could ever train him were those two. Naruto knew that the masked man was probably still after Kurama, so he was a no-go, and Itachi was a nuke-nin. So both options were off limits. Naruto had to figure it out on his own. In the meantime, Naruto had bought books on katas for his bloodline like the cat claw weapons and whip. He also wanted to practice on his jutsu, seeing as he had learned a few from the people he had consumed. On his current list were Enden, Flame Bullet, Yuhasho, Beast Tearing Palm, Shinkijin, Vacuum Blade, and Shinkijyoku, Vacuum Bullets. Naruto managed to learn Enden and Yuhasho. He would have to wait for the others. Sighing, Naruto took off his clothes and headed to the shower. He opened the door and headed inside. The moment he pulled the curtain, he found himself face to face with a naked Taiya. He got a major nosebleed and turned away. Sorry, the door was open, and I thought No was using it. Taiya stared at him, looking at his muscles, eyeing every part of his body. What caught her attention was that he wasn't wearing a towel, and the size of what was dangling made her head a lustful look in her eye. She swayed over to him and got her knees. Taiya-chan. What are you doing? Lemon scene removed. Anko, Carrie, and Kin, who were downstairs, heard all of the commotion. Kin was full body neon blush and was bleeding from the nose. Anko was grinning like the Cheshire Cat, and Carrie sweat-dropped and blushed as well. I told you they'd do it, now pay up, girl, said Anko. Both Carrie and Kin groaned and paid Anko 50 ryo and left in Naruto's bedroom. Naruto and Taiya had just gotten out and were really tired. He noticed Carrie, Anko, and Kin laying there as well. He decided not to question it and laid down, instantly falling asleep. Taiya laid down next to him and snuggled next to him. Before falling asleep, she felt something happening within her. She placed a hand on her stomach before ignoring it and joining the others in sleep. Naruto had woken up. He noticed Taiya laying next to him while the other girls were already awake. He planted a kiss on Taiya's lips and got out of bed. He took a quick shower and got dressed in his clothes that he wore during his fight at the Kiri Bridge, which was a black shirt with red flames at the bottom, black style Anbu pants, black combat boots, and a black opened overcoat with chains near the neck area, as well as black fingerless gloves. Naruto walked downstairs to see his future brides there making breakfast. Quickly eating, he told them he would see them at the arena and gave them each kiss on the lips. Kin, not used to it, gained a full body blush with steam coming out head. Once Naruto got outside, he spread his wings and took off. Arena. The viewer stands were packed. On one side were the judges, on the other side were the shinobi, mainly Chunin and Jonin. In the center there were the villagers and any genin shinobi. At the top was the cage booth, consisting of Hiruzen, Mei, A, and the Kazekage. In the arena, standing there was Niji, Gaara, Shikamaru, Tamari, Kankuro, and Shino. They were waiting for the Hokage to make his announcement. Up in the stand, Sakura, Ino, Kiba, Hinata, Tenten, Choji, Samui, Yujito, and Fu were waiting as well. Wonder where Sasuke and Naruto are. Sai's not here either, even Kakashi-sensei is missing. Where is everyone? Sakura asked herself. Hey forehead, you know where Sasuke is? Asked Ino. No, I haven't seen him since the preliminaries, she responded. Hey, that blonde kid ain't there either, said Kiba. Yeah, Munch, you're right, Munch, said Choji, munching on his BBQ chips. Kiba thought about something. Hey guys, who do you think would win, the blonde kid or the redhead from Suna? What do you mean by that, Kiba? Are you saying that Sasuke-kun will lose to that psycho? Said an annoyed Ino. Well, he was close to killing Lee if sensei hadn't stopped him, said Tenten. And what he did to those nin in the forest of death, sheesh, I'd be amazed if Sasuke came out without a scratch, said Kiba. That was when Hiruzen walked up and did his speech about how they all managed to make it this far. After giving his speech, a jonin named Genma came done to announce the fights. Hey, where hate? Asked Shikamaru. He's dead, we found his body 2 days ago when he was sent to spy on someone, replied Genma, lazily putting a senbon in his mouth and gaining a small gasp from Shikamaru and Shino. Now then, everyone but Naruto, Uzumaki, Namikaze and Neji Hyuga, please leave the arena and head to the combatant stands, he said, as they all left, leaving Neji there alone. Few people were muttering among themselves, saying things about the Kyuubi not being a Namikaze and a few saying that he ran away. I see he ran away, must have been fate that declared me the victor, Neji said arrogantly. Just when he said those words they saw black feathers falling from the sky. Everyone was looking around. Fu spotted someone falling from the sky in a nosedive. Look, she said, pointing up. Everyone turned to see a blonde-haired boy falling nosedive. As he was getting close to the ground, he flipped and landed on his feet, creating a medium-sized crater and shockwave, sending Neji tumbling back and everyone back into their seats. The blonde slowly rose up and looked at Genma. Yo, am I late? Genma's senbon fell from his lips. No, you're on time. Are both contendants ready, he asked. Neji activated his Byakugan and Naruto cracked his knuckles and flared his Sharingan. They gave Genma a nod. First match, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze vs Neji Hyuga. Ready, Heijim. He yelled, getting out of the way. I remember what he did to that Odo nin in the preliminaries, I shouldn't take him lightly, Neji thought, getting into the Jukin stance. He saw Naruto get into a street brawler stance. Naruto charged at him. What's he doing? His stance is full of holes. I could easily take him, Neji thought, dodging a right hook. Naruto kept throwing punches and Neji kept dodging. What's he doing? That stance is full of holes. It's like he wants to get hit, said a confused Karena. Who knows, after what we saw at the preliminaries, he must be plotting something, said Asuma, letting us smoke. Neji had enough and sent palm at Naruto's chest, which phased through him. What? He thought. He saw Naruto with his Byakugan appearing behind him. He turned around and sent another palm, but he blocked and sent his own palm strike. This shot Neji halfway across the arena. He got up clutching his chest. I think my ribs cracked. People were staring at Naruto. Those who knew about what he could do were worried about how bad he would mess up Neji. The civilians instantly thought the Kyuubi was losing control. Naruto began making hand signs. Kaiten. Bakuhatsu Kin Shadow, exploding flame shot, he said, creating sparks in his hands. He snapped his fingers and shot out multiple balls of flames. Neji dodged as the fireballs impacted and exploded. And? It's an actual jutsu, there just isn't an official name for it, I had to Google it just to get this name. Neji threw some shuriken and some kunai with exploding tags. Naruto sent biomass to his legs and jumped into the air. He created more hand signs and did an axe kick stomping on the ground. Kaiten. Keshi Makugan Hara, exploding flame crater. A crack appeared and made its way to Neji. He looked at it with his Byakugan and saw the earth heating up to dangerous levels. Neji began to swirl around. The Kesho Kaiten, 8 trigrams palm revolving heaven, he yelled, creating a swirling charka barrier, shocking the Hyuga clan up in the stands. Naruto clapped his hands and the earth underneath erupted in a fiery explosion. Neji was lucky to have used Kaiten, otherwise he would have been blown to pieces and Naruto would have broken his promise to Hinata. When the flames simmered down, Neji stopped spinning and saw Naruto's fist come in contact with his face. He was sent flying, embedding him on the wall. Naruto began walking towards him at a slow pace. Neji tried to get himself out of the wall. He managed to get an arm out and pull himself off. Neji got into a familiar stand which shocked the Hyugas even further. You're within my range of division. Naruto followed his movements and dodged each jab. Neji was shocked when Naruto grabbed his wrist, changing his arm into a hammer fist and was about to crush him. Neji closed his eyes and awaited pain. He opened them and noticed Naruto standing in the middle of the arena, him and Genma there too. First match. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze vs Neji Hyuga. Ready, Heijim. Genma yelled, jumping away. Wait, what just happened? Was it a Jinjutsu? That never happened, did it? He was broken out of his thoughts as when Naruto charged at him. Repeat, fight. You're within my range of division. Naruto followed his movements and dodged each jab. Neji was shocked when Naruto grabbed his wrist, changing his arm into a hammer fist and was about to crush him. Neji closed his eyes and awaited pain. It never came. He opened them again and saw Naruto standing in the center of the arena with Genma there as well. What the hell is going on? Neji thought. Repeat process. Neji closed his eyes and awaited pain, only this time he felt it. Naruto's fist reverted back to normal and slugged him in the face. Neji got off the floor. What the hell was that? He yelled, gaining everyone's attention. You fell for it, Naruto said. What? Haven't you noticed? Instead of following my movements you were staring into my Sharingan. You fell for my Izanami. It's not complete yet, so I could only repeat chain of events twice, he said. Huh? Izanami puts a victim in an unbreakable loop of events that repeats itself despite the victim being aware of the process. You can't alter or escape it, and while the events take place in your mind, it leaves you standing perfectly still for any incoming attacks, Naruto stated, shocking everyone in the arena. Tell me, Neji, why did you try to kill Hinata? She told about your hatred for the main branch. Why is that? He asked. Neji glared at Hinata in the stands. He then turned to Naruto and told him about the incident with his father and how he was traded for execution instead of the current clan head, Heishi, and for marking him with the caged bird seal. By the end of his explanation, Heishi looked down in dismay. If he hadn't agreed to the trade, his brother would have been alive. He tried to look at the brighter side. Konoha avoided war with Kumo, and it was the will of the Kanko, for fuck's sake. That was the worst decision he had made, along with threatening to brand Hinata with caged bird seal. The Raikage wasn't any different. The past Kage was the one that ordered the kidnapping. Naruto looked at him. Neji avoided eye, hoping he wouldn't fall for his Izanami again. Instead, he heard something that made him stare in disbelief. Do you want me to get rid of the seal? Neji had wide eyes and found it hard to breathe. He watched Naruto walk up to him, flashing through 50 hand signs. He removed Neji's hit I-8 and pressed his palm against the seal, Zenkyaku Fuin. Neji bit his lips because of the burning sensation he felt. 10 seconds later, the mark turned into ink and dripped down Neji's face. The Hyuga elders seethed at the fact the blonde had interfered with clan matters. Neji touched the ink and then looked at Naruto, but came in contact with a fist, hitting him hard on the ground, knocking him unconscious. That was for trying to kill Hinata-chan, he said. Shasha. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, announced Genma. Everyone stared in disbelief. They knew Naruto had the highest chance of winning, but he was just toying with Neji. Whoa, the Hyuga elders are gonna be pissed, joked Kiba. Yeah, the move Izanami seems pretty powerful, huh, and he said it was incomplete, said Ino. The others could only nod. Wow, Naruto-kun's really why do I keep saying that? Sakura mentally yelled. Maybe cause you like him, duh, unlike the Uchiha, he actually pays attention to you, said her inner self. Sakura thought to herself, Naruto was her childhood friend and he always did pay attention to her. She remembered that he saved her life in the forest of death. Maybe she really was in love with the whiskered blonde. The nod aside, in relief, Naruto kept her promise and didn't smear Neji all over the arena, and not only that, he got rid of his CBS, caged bird seal. She smiled. Arigato, Naruto-kun. Vegito had her own thought. Kurama's host didn't even break a sweat fighting the Hyuga. Madatabi being the lusty two-tailed cat that she is, sent pheromones to her host. At first she thought she was going into heat, but that wasn't the case. She did have a thing for the blonde, but was too stubborn to admit it. Madatabi, what are you doing? Giving you what you want, the two-tailed cat said. Damn it, she was about to go to the bathroom to relieve herself when she saw Carrie standing there next to her. Naruto-kun put up quite the fight, didn't he, she asked. Yujito tried not to make eye contact. She knew her elder sister was engaged to him and didn't want to ruin it. You know Naruto-kun is under craw, if you want I could introduce him to you, she said. Yujito turned to her with an atomic blush. Carrie saw the look on her face and knew that Madatabi was at it again. She sighed, turned to Samui and said, if you want I could introduce Naruto-kun to you as well, Samui. Samui simply looked at Carrie with an atomic blush very similar to Yujito's. Carrie simply sighed again and walked with Yujito to the bathroom. Fu herself was sitting there grinning like an idiot. Haha, he's really strong, Chao-mei. I could care less of what you say, he's mine, she said to her tenant. Apparently Chao-mei was really protective of her host. Fu, we've been over this. Hey, you always scare other guys away by making me flare your chakra. This guy is also a Jinchuriki, so he won't be scared of us as Psy. Fine, do what you want, larva. Fu grinned to herself. Naruto's estate. Hey Aya, are you okay in there? Asked a concerned Kin. Why yeah, I'm fine, you go on, a blurk, she puked. You sure? I could get you something. I'm fine, just go to the arena, blurk, she puked again. Well, okay then, we'll see you after the invasion, she said before leaving. Try not to get yourselves killed, blurk, she puked once more. Arena. Hiruzen was outstanded. Naruto was able to bring himself to not kill a fellow Leaf Nin and win using techniques that were at least Jonin level. Him and the rest of the cages could feel the same, however one Kazukiage licked his lips behind his curtain mask. He wanted Naruto's ability more and more. Naruto himself looked at Neji, who was being carried away by the medics. He shrugged, be jumping on the wall and running up to the contenders' stands. When he got there he leaned against a wall and looked out into the arena. Shikamaru looked at him curiously and Shino, well, you couldn't really tell his expression. Tamari eyed him, hoping he wouldn't do anything serious during the invasion. Tenkuro didn't know who to be scared of more, the blonde monster or his psycho brother. Gaara clutched his head. Mother, I understand if he frightens you so much I'll get rid of him. You want his blood, right? I'll give it to you, he thought to himself, gaining a sadistic smile on his face, and turned to Naruto. He looked at him and his eyes glowed yellow. Gaara flinched and turned back. Match 2. Sasuke Uchiha vs Ibaku no Gaara. Please make your way to the arena. Gaara shunted to the arena, but Sasuke was nowhere to be found. Page stand. An Anbu appeared by Hiruzen, Hokage-sama, Uchiha Sasuke hasn't arrived yet, what should we do? Disqualify him, we can't show favoritism, he stated, but Orochimaru wasn't going to have that. Now Hokage-sama, why not postpone the fight? I've been dying to see the match between Uchiha-sama and my son, the snake said. Hiruzen smirked, got you, Orochimaru, the Kazekage never calls Gaara his son. Very well Kazekage-sama, I'll let him fight, however he won't be able to advance to Chunin rank. Orochimaru smirked beneath his curtain mask, excellent. The Anbu jumped down to the arena and informed Genma. Alright, the match between Sasuke Uchiha and Sabaku no Gaara has been postponed, can Sabaku no Kankuro and Shi no Aburam please come down to the arena? And let them find out about Crow's abilities just yet. Proctor-sen, I forfeit. Fine, on to the next match, can Sabaku no Tamari and Shikamaru Nara please come down to the arena? Troublesome, maybe I should quit as well, he said, raising his hand. Oh no you don't, take it like a man, Naruto said, as he Spartan kicked him off the railing. Shikamaru comically landed flat on his face, he had an X-shaped bandage on his face, troublesome blonde, he said, as Tamari flew down on her fan. Next match. Sabaku no Tamari vs Shikamaru Nara. Are both contenders ready? Hajim. Ban. Fight same as canon. What the hell, witty quit, he had it one lazy ass, Naruto said. As soon as they left the arena, Gaara shunshined it to the arena again, and after 10 minutes Naruto dropped down to the arena, knowing that if Sasuke didn't appear in the next 5 seconds he would be disqualified and Naruto would have to fight Gaara. The moment he took 3 steps, Sasuke and Kakashi appeared in a swirl of leaves. Naruto smirked, he grew his wings and flew back to the stands. And you are? Uchiha Sasuke. Yo, we aren't late, are we? Asked Kakashi. Very, we've postponed once and waited an additional 10 minutes, Sasuke will no longer be able to advance to Chunin, but will still be able to compete. Sasuke seethed but nodded. Good, next match. Sasuke Uchiha vs Sabaku no Gaara. Ready, Hajim. Arena entrance. Oh, it's you. Yes, we are here to watch the youthful fight, said Guy, in his good guy pose, with Lee next to him and his crutches. Right, go right in. Wait, Niji's match, who won? Asked Lee. Both Chunin looked at each other, then back at them. The Hyuga lost badly, that blonde kid hardly put up a fight, he said, shocking both Guy and his mini-me. I see, looks like I have a new rival, he thought to himself, fist pumping. I looked at him, Lee, you're a great kid, he thought before walking in. And? Fight same as canon, I know I'm lazy. Sasuke was performing hand signs, and lighting began to charge in his hand, and he dashed forward towards Gaara, who was currently in his dome of sand. Dodori, 1000 birds, Sasuke yelled, piercing Gaara's ultimate defense. Both of Gaara's siblings were shell-shocked, no one has ever broken through Gaara's sand defense, let alone make him bleed. What is this? Is this blood? This is my blood. He yelled. Sasuke looked inside the hole he punctured and saw what he thought was a monster, it made him shiver. Gaara's sand began fall off, leaving him clutching his right arm that was currently bleeding. Now's the time, Orochimaru thought, signaling Kabuto to start the invasion. Within seconds the arena was covered in white feathers. Sasuke, Naruto, and Kakashi activated their Sharingan. All the shinobi did one hand sign, Kai, release. Before they knew it, Odo and Tsunanins began charging the shinobi. Orochimaru grabbed Hiruzen and took off to the roof, and Mei followed. Kakashi and Guy were fighting off Odo Nins when the Scarecrow noticed Gaara and his siblings taking off and Sasuke following them. Shitty was about to tell Naruto to aid him, but he noticed 2 Kumo Nin and 1 Taki Nin following them already. Are they allies? I can't be too sure, Sakura. You and the rest go after Gaara and aid Sasuke, he ordered. But sensei, this is an A-rank mission, there's no time to argue, now go. He ordered, stabbing a Tsunanin through the skull. Hi. She and the rest of the Rookie 9 took off. Naruto smirked, HMPH, this is where the fun begins. And? Cookie to whoever guesses the reference. Play Devil May Cry 3 Os taste the blood. Naruto jumped down to the arena and sent Biomass to his hands, shifting them into claws. He charged in and began hacking and slashing any Odo and Tsunanin that were unlucky to be within his range of attack. Naruto didn't know about everyone else, but he was having a wonderful time. As Tsunanin attempted to stab him, he just grabbed the poor sap by the head, injected him with Biomass, and threw him behind a couple feet, blowing up and taking other Odo Tsunanin with him. Naruto grabbed an unsuspecting Odo Nin who didn't even notice him since he was fighting. Naruto grabbed his head, dug his claws through his back, and tore out his spine with the guy's skull still attached. Naruto shifted his arms back to normal and started beating enemy Nins using the spinal cord as a whip club. Enemy Nins began to shift their attention to Naruto and began charging him. Naruto discarded the spine club and shifted his arms to the hammer fist. He began to crush Nin, but because of the hammer fist being a heavy weapon, it slowed down his current speed. Though Naruto crushed a few, they began to gain up on him. Some of the Konoha shinobi turned the other cheek since they still had hatred for the Kyuubi. Naruto felt the kunais pierce his skin repeatedly until he felt something familiar, like what happened 4 years ago. He snapped. Naruto unleashed a powerful repulse and sent all the enemy shinobi flying. Few didn't survive and had their head crushed or necks cracked. The ones that did survive looked at him. Naruto was wearing a fully body black demon-like armor. His claws were now sharper and more clear. They were also jagged from the back and had spikes on his upper arms. And prototype armor and prototype 2. Fully upgraded claws. Naruto looked at them and flexed his claws. "Come at me, bro," he said in a demonic voice. They never stood a chance. Naruto felt a tremor. He looked towards the village walls, and he saw a giant three-headed snake charge the city. He smirked and charged at it, taking down any Odo and Sunanin that get in his way. On the rooftops. "Hello, sensei. Good to see you too," Orochimaru said Hiruzen, as Orochimaru tore off the skin off his face. The snake Sannin noticed the Mizu and Reikage coming towards them. He signaled the Sound 4 to start the barrier. But sadly they never came. "Where the hell are they?" "Looking for your bodyguards, Orochimaru." He looked at Hiruzen and saw his smirk. "Naruto disposed of them 2 weeks ago. We know all about your plans to make the barrier and use Ito Tensei. It's not going to work," he said. Orochimaru seethed and was about to slit Hiruzen's throat when a kunai hit his and bounced off. He saw that both Mei and A were there with them. Orochimaru jumped back and flashed hand signs for Ito Tensei. "You didn't think I had a backup plan, did you?" he smirked. Somewhere in the village, 3 Odo nins died and had their souls transferred. Ito Tensei, impure world resurrection. This shocked Hiruzen and the cages. They didn't expect this. 2 coffins shot up with the kanji for 1 and 2, then a third with the kanji for 4. Hiruzen immediately spammed shuriken to make sure he doesn't bring back the 4th. Sadly he was a little too late. Tobirama. What's going on? How should I know? Hiruzen, that you? Gigi, look at you, you're still as old as you were when I died. Wait, how am I alive? Said a certain blonde. Get out of there, you 3. Yelled A. Minato immediately jumped away, avoiding the special kunai that Orochimaru had thrown at him. Sadly Hashirama and Tobirama weren't so lucky. Thanks for that, Minato said. Don't mention it, now let's kick some ass like the good old days. Yup, let's do this, he said, taking out his 3-pronged kunai. I just want to know one thing, Hiruzen, Minato asked all seriously. Ask away, he said, taking off his robe, showing his battle armor and getting into stance along with Mei. How's my boy doing? He said all cheerfully. Everyone fast-vaulted, including the controlled cage. You're asking this now? Hiruzen practically yelled. Well yeah, once Orochimaru's dead I'm gone too, you know, he said. Then they all heard something in the distance. Yeah, come get some. They turned to see a black speck slicing one of the 3 snakes' heads. They saw explosion and what looked like black tendrils shooting out. They could hear the cries of the enemy in the distance. Orochimaru took this time to sneak away in Shunshin. Crap, he's gone, stated Minato, as the 1st and 2nd Hokage charged. Forest. Sasu currently had his curse mark on and was kneeling on a tree branch, breathing heavily. Gaara was more of a sand monster than human. He was about to end Sasu when a stream of flames cut him off. Gaara turned to see Yujito, Fu, and Kurabi. Killer B. Damn, one you beat him already, don't need to kill him, stated B. Gaara's eyes were officially Shukaku's. Kekaki, come help me prove my existence. He yelled, charging blindly. What he failed to notice was Yujito, Fu, and Kurabi going into their one-tailed state. Music ends. Play Devil May Cry 4 swipe of the sword. Village gates. Naruto was dodging the now 2-headed snake, Morodo, and Sunanin thought it would be a good idea to help Orochimaru summon, but they ended up choked by Naruto's whip fist and getting their heads torn off. Naruto pumped biomass into his legs and jumped 50 feet in the air. He landed on the bleeding neck of the sliced off head and pounced on the dodging the middle head and slicing off the first left head while using its neck as a board to jump to a rooftop and Prototype 2. Claw's helicopter finisher. The snake curled up to avoid taking more damage, or at least until Naruto drops his guard. Naruto shifted his arms back to normal and revealed his Mangekyo Sharingan. The Madarasu, he whispered, hitting the enemy nins with pitch black flames. He reverted back to his 3 tomes and jumped up, avoiding a strike from the snake. Naruto charged biomass to his arms, shifting them back to claws, and dove down. His claws sunk into the snake's head and ground spikes shot up, piercing the snake's body. Before it could disappear, black and red tendrils shot out of Naruto and consumed it. Power flowed throughout his body as debris began to float in the air. Naruto let out a small repulse as his right arm shifted into the whip fist. Like the tendrils, it was darker and more reinforced, and a hell of a lot more sharper. The Odo Nin couldn't take this anymore. The blonde had single-handedly taken down half their forces and their secondary offense weapon, so they ran. The Sunanin stopped and surrendered. Not long after defeating the giant snake, he noticed what he recognized as the Nidaime Hokage landing in front of him. The Orochi team must have summoned the Ito cages, Naruto thought. Before Tobirama could react, Naruto immediately consumed Tobirama. Immediately after consuming the Ito cage, Naruto felt much stronger than he had before. Naruto tested his power by trying to form a small, think Rasengan-sized, orb of water in his hand. After all, the Nidaime could form water out of basically nothing, so consuming him should give Naruto that power as well. Almost instantly the orb of water formed in Naruto's hand. However, Naruto had trouble keeping it in an orb. Naruto figures he'd have to practice before he decided to use the Nidaime's abilities in battle. Naruto then noticed an Anbu in the trees. He narrowed his eyes. It was a root Anbu. It jumped away, with Naruto hot in pursuit. Forest. Shukaku was rampaging, while Yujito, who currently in her two-tailed chakra form, while Fu was in her three-tailed chakra form and Karabi in his second form. "He's not letting us get any closer," said Fu. "Okay, here's the plan, me and Karabi will act as decoys. You circle around him and wake the redhead up," stated Yujito. "Alright, let's do this, let's go B," Yujito yelled. "Stand still, damn it," Shukaku yelled, sending air blasts and sand towards them. Karabi began charging a Bijidama, tailed beast blast. Shukaku was about to fire another air bullet when he was hit with an Gakakyu, grand fireball, turning some of his sand body into glass. Shukaku threw a tantrum and was rambling about insects running around not staying still, then he felt his body weaken. He saw Fu readying another fist. "Damn it, die already." It yelled, launching sand towards her, which she dodged and jumped off its head. Karabi launched his Bijidama, hitting Shukaku dead on, which made it stumble back. Yujito caught Fu and flung her back towards its head, and her fist made contact with Gaara's face, cancelling his Tanuki Nari Jutsu, feigning sleep technique. They reverted back to normal and carried the unconscious Gaara back to Konoha. While the Sakura and Hinata carried back Sasuke, they, unlike the others, stayed behind to fend off Odonin. Rooftops. Minato, Hiruzen, Mei, and A were dodging Hashirama's Jukai Koten, nativity of a world of trees, after Tobirama was sent flying by Minato's Rasengan. "Alright, here's what we're gonna do. You crush the trees with Jirichin Darapu, guillotine drop, Mei use your Kiri, miss technique, when A makes the opening, that should force them to retreat. Hiruzen, you and me are a fence the moment the dodge, we get them," stated Minato as they hid behind the trees. They gave him a nod, jumped into the air and dropped a lighting enhanced drop kick, taking out trees that were in the path. Tobirama was about to launch another wave when A jumped out of the way, and a cloud of mist shot out of the opening, rushing towards both cages. They immediately jumped. Hashirama was hit by a point-blank Karyudan, fire dragon bullet, and in a yellow flash Minato appeared in front of him and shoved a Rasengan in his chest. Hashirama fell and turned to dust. End of music. "Phew, that's good teamwork," stated Minato as they landed. "Yeah, well played," said Mei. "Just like old times, huh," said A. "Yup, now we gotta help everyone else," he stated, turning to the village and noticing that most of the Odo nins were retreating. Some Suna nins had surrendered and the Konoha nins had stopped fighting. "Wonder what's going on?" Minato asked. "From the looks of it we won," replied Hiruzen. "Well yeah, but don't you think maybe our shinobi would go after the retreating nins before they leave the village?" he asked. "Good point, let's check it out." They made their way through the village. The Konoha forces nearly had heart attacks when they saw Minato. As they came closer to the gates, they noticed that the body count was getting higher and that more corpses were found in the most gruesome ways. When they arrived, they saw the remains of the giant snake summon. "Wow, Naruto's pretty sadistic, huh?" said Hiruzen. "Hey, Naruto did this?" asked Minato. "Yup, we've witnessed his work firsthand and we know this was his doing. Wonder where he is though." "Root HQ. "Oh good, you're back. Did you get the Namikaze's intel?" asked a Root member. "Got it right here," he replied, showing a folder. "Good, I'll inform Danzo Sam-urk." "That won't be necessary," said the Root member as his claws dug through the other's chest. His arm reverted back to normal and continued through the base. Naruto was walking down the dark corridors. So far he hasn't seen any other members yet. The Root base was like a maze. Each turn you would find more corridors. Naruto really just wanted to burst a hole downwards just to get by quicker, but that would alert the whole base, and as much as he wanted to hack and slash everyone that came at him, he forced himself to use the cloak and dagger tactic. "Danzo's office." "Sir, he's in," said a Root official. "Good, let him come," spoke Danzo. "Danzo, are you sure about this?" spoke a council member. "I'm sure, once he's in here, he'll come to me, he won't bother with the rest of you, my Root will spring out and detain him, if all else fails I'll fight him myself," he spoke, gaining gasps from the civilian council. "Danzo, be reasonable, the demon will slaughter you, he's too fool. He won't be able to lay a finger on me. I've got my own secrets that will help me defeat the Kyuubi," he spoke, getting sighs of relief. Danzo smiled and held onto his arm. "I must thank you, Shisui, you and your clan's eyes are going to prove most helpful in detain my weapon," he smirked inwardly. Second level. Naruto was continuing his walk down the corridors. He soon came across doors. Seeing as Danzo had nowhere to go, he made a little detour. Opening the first door, he came across a room with an infant in its crib attached to some machinery. He looked at the tag and read it. Subject number 7093. Birth name: Yuki Satom. Birthplace: Kanahagakure. Transplant: Mokuton. Would release. Naruto sneered. Danzo was kidnapping children and experimenting on them. He noticed the subject number and could only guess that the number was not random. He saw the glass tube attached to the machine. Walking up to it, he examined it. Hashirama's genetic code. Naruto knew this was the first Hokage's genes and that it was about to be transplanted into the child. Naruto carefully removed the needle from the baby and detached the tubing from the machine. He took off his coat and wrapped the child with it, creating a shadow clone. He had to take the baby to the hospital. Naruto stared at the tubing, his mind clicked and he gained a shit-eating grin. Opening the tube, he dipped his hand in it, then black and red tendrils engulfed the fluid and absorbed into his body. Naruto felt his DNA modify and held onto his body, like the time he consumed Hiroko for his Mighten Dark release. Naruto stopped spamming and took a deep breath. He should have had the Mokuton bloodline by now, however because he has just obtained it, he doesn't know a jutsu to check if he did have it. Naruto shrugged, shifted back into a root member and left the room. Naruto thought that Danzo had more kidnapped infants around, so he checked every room, but found nothing. Naruto made it to the final door and tried to open it. It was locked. Naruto rolled his eyes and let out an audible sigh. He then punched a hole through the door and tore it open. He walked in and saw a bunch of scrolls on jutsu, kinjutsu techniques, weapons of all kinds, and some test tubes with a similar fluid to the Mokuton. Oh my goodness gracious, they didn't tell me it was my birthday. Oh jackpot. He created a small army of clones and had them empty the room. While the clones were working, he held the test tubes and looked at the label. Hyoten, Ice Release. Nyoten, Lava Release. Shmdon, Crystal Release. Enten, Blaze Release. Wait, Lem guessed Danzo couldn't transplant these into his current root, so he decided to kidnap babies that had the bloodline to create a breeding factor and add the children to his root TSK. Wow Danzo, that's low, all the more reason for me to kill you, he said, gaining a sadistic smile on his face as he consumed the two liquids and awaited pain. Danzo's office. The Kyuubi sure is taking his time, isn't he, said one of the council members. The root jumped from the ceiling. Danzo-sama, it appears the Kyuubi has infiltrated the armory and has taken 5 of our bloodlines. Sir Danzo, who was sipping on a cup of tea, spit it out. What? Which ones? Hyoten, Yoten, Enten, Shoten, and Mokuton. Danzo's blood boiled. The Mokuton was supposed to be one of the 3 things that could hold a Biju, the other 2 being the chakra chains and the Mangekyo Sharingan, or so he thought. At those bloodlines back, he can't use them unless it's within a person. He's wrong by the way, he said smugly, thinking he still had a chance to get them back. Hi. He said, disappearing into the shadows. Damn that Namikaze. Back with Naruto. Naruto's clones had just finished emptying the storage. He used sealing scrolls he found around the room and had them take off to their compound. As Naruto stopped spamming, he turned back. A katana was held at his throat. The room was filled with root personnel. Naruto simply smiled sadistically and said, this is where the fun begins. You'll never take me alive. Naruto yelled, grabbing the katana and kicking the root away. They all charged Naruto. He shifted his arm to the whip fist and began lashing away, splitting root in half. He grabbed one and used him as a meat shield while they all tried to hit him with all kinds of weapons and jutsu. Naruto used Kawarimi to swap with another root. He walked to the exit, then turned around and whistled, catching their attention. Naruto shifted his arms into the tendrils. Sayonara. He shot both arms, catching 2 roots in his black hole technique, shooting more tendrils and killing the remaining ops. Naruto smiled at his work, but noticed one was still alive and was reaching for something on the wall. He read it, alarm. Ah shit, it's about to get loud, he said, running out of the room as the root pressed it before passing on. Danzo's office. Everyone heard the code red alarm. Danzo? What's happening? God damn it, root, half of you get the council out of here, the rest of you with me, Danzo commanded as he left the office with his root squad. Back with Naruto. So much for stealth, said Naruto. Dodging katana swipes, he did a sweep kick, knocking a few root off their feet and splitting them horizontally with his whip fist. Naruto shifted his arms to claws and dashed his way down the corridor. It seemed every corner he took more root was appearing. He was starting to get frustrated. As he diced up a root, he activated his hunter pulse and spotted Danzo in a far-off room that looked pretty open-spaced. Biomass engulfed Naruto. Shifting into his Amor mode, he ran at a wall and crashed through it and think Gears of War, Berserker Rush, and continued running and creating more holes through walls. After much wall crashing, Naruto broke through and ended up in a large room with pipes on the walls and a large suspension bridge and root chambers. Naruto reverted back to normal. He turned to see the root following him through the walls. His arms shifted to the tendrils. He attached them to wall, blocking them off. Naruto turned his attention to the bridge and took a few steps until the doors at the end opened. Out stepped Danzo and about 20 dozen root ops. Wow, and here I'd thought you'd run like the rest of the others, so where'd the council members run off to? Naruto asked. He must have gained the memories of my root. You're too late, they've already been evacuated, it's just us, Danzo replied coldly. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh well, looks like I'll just vent my frustration on all of you guys. The root got into stance. Now Namikaze-san, there's no need for violence, can't we discuss this? Ha 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 ha. Naruto began to laugh like a psychopath. Danzo started to get annoyed. What's so funny? I don't know what's fucking funnier, the fact that you actually want to try to negotiate with me or the fact that you're trying to control me by influencing my thoughts. I may not know what you're hiding, but I bet it has something to do with those transplants you've had on your body, he said. Danzo stared at him. Why isn't it working? Naruto raised his head, revealing his Mangekyo Sharingan. He has them too. Danzo mentally yelled. Claws reformed. Naruto clashed them against each other, creating sparks. Mortal Kombat. Freddy Krueger entrance, I think, before charging. Play SSBB Ost vs Meta Ridley. Half of the root charged while the rest began to make hand signs. Naruto sent Biomass to his legs and pounced the first root, slicing his throat. He began to add wind chakra to his claws and cut through katanas as they came close. Quickly changing his arms into shields, he blocked some Katen and Doten jutsu. Jumping up, Naruto reformed his whip fist and let it fly towards a root, forming hand signs. At the moment of impact, Biomass entered his body and exploded, impaling nearby a root. Naruto dodged incoming Katen jutsu and jumped back. He saw Danzo looking at him. What's he planning? He was cut from his thoughts as he had to dodge katana swipe. He kicked the root, shooting him straight at an incoming squad. Quickly performing hand signs, Bashisan, sending a wave of flames, Naruto grew his wings and flew off the bridge. He flew to the side of it and whiplashed the bridge, splitting it in two. Prototype 2. Whipfist helicopter finisher. Half of the roots fell into the abyss, while the smart ones held onto the bridge with chakra. Naruto flew back onto the bridge and sent Biomass throughout his body. He stomps on the ground, unleashing a powerful shockwave, sending all roots flying high. Tendrils burst from his body and impaled all of them before consuming their biomass and retreating back into his body. End of song. Naruto breathed in a couple times before glaring at Danzo, who stared at him with disbelief. You should have ran when you had the chance, he said, shooting his whipfist towards the top of the door behind Danzo, collapsing and blocking it. Now I'm gonna kill you, he said, Mangekyo still flaring. Danzo sneered and revealed his bandaged arm. A grand total of 10 Sharingan implanted on it, and was that a face in his shoulder? Danzo removed the bandages from his eye, revealing a Mangekyo Sharingan. It was shaped like a 4-edged shuriken. Naruto stared in shock. What the hell did you do? You mean to say what Itachi did? If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have had so many to choose from. So it was you ordered Itachi to massacre his clan? Naruto stated in disbelief. It was for the greater good of the village. They were planning to co-op against Konoha, and well, Itachi prevented that. Why are you telling me this? Because even if you have the Mangekyo Sharingan, the Mokuton genes in my arm will be enough to disable Tobijuu if you intend on using its chakra. Naruto glared at Danzo. You still think you can control Kyuubi? Well then, let's see if you can. Play Aliens vs Predators 2010 Ost Predalien boss fight. Naruto flung a barrage of kunai at Danzo. Stream, wind release. Stream, Danzo breathed a gust of wind, blowing the kunai away. In a blur, Naruto appeared beside him, claws ready, and split him in half, only for Danzo to blur out of existence. Nani? Naruto activated his hunter pulse and saw him on the other side of the bridge. Naruto sprinted and jumped across, forming his hammer fist. He slammed it on the broken end of the bridge, making it tilt upward. Danzo added chakra to his feet to stay. He saw Naruto running up the now falling bridge end, his whip fist ready, sent a whiplash at the top half. Danzo jumped to avoid it. Naruto's whipfist tore the top half of the bridge before falling into the abyss. Naruto flew up on his wings, looking at the falling bridge. He turned to see Danzo creating hand signs. Futen. Shinkajoku, wind release. Vacuum sphere. He shot out high-pressure air bullets at Naruto. He maneuvered around them and reformed his claws and dropped down a couple feet in front of Danzo, who made more hand signs. Futen. Shinkijin, wind release. Vacuum blade. Holding 2 kunai, he blew a visible chakra stream onto the kunai, making them into makeshift scimitars. They charged at each other, weapons clashing, sparks flying. However, Naruto was faster and sliced his head off, only for Danzo to blur out of existence again. How's he doing that? He's using Izanagi. It places a powerful genjutsu on the user, which removes the boundaries of illusion and reality within their personal space. Wait, if he's using Izanagi, then shouldn't he have gone blind by now? He's used it twice. Haven't you noticed the Sharingans on his arm? 2 have closed already, and he has that Mangekyo in his eye, which means he could do it 9 more times. Damn, how am I going to catch him? Wait, I got it. Naruto pulled out a dozen 3-pronged kunai and threw them in separate directions. Kage kunai no jutsu, shadow kunai clones, a grand total of 1000 kunai flew in every direction. Danzo used stream to block the ones in his direction. Naruto dashed towards him. He slashed away with his claws. Danzo jumped back, but Naruto used his whipfist to try and stab him, but he used Izanagi again. Gotcha you now, team, he thought, activating his hunter pulse, and disappeared in a black-red flash. Danzo reappeared on top of the pipe. In a flash, claws tore through his back and out his chest. He turned around to see Naruto, giving him a sadistic grin. End of song. How did you? Danzo stated, already bleeding from the mouth. As you didn't notice, here let me show you. He kept his claws in his back and turned him towards the wall where the kunai was. It was a three-pronged kunai with a seal on it. Duration, Flying Thunder God technique. My father's farewell gift to me, tell me, do you regret anything? He asked with a tang of venom. My only regret was that I never was able to surpass Hiruzen. He was always better than me. All I wanted was to make the perfect village, even if it meant turning my back on the village itself. Well then, sayonara, Shimura Danzo. Naruto said as he twisted his claws, tearing his insides open. Black and red tendrils shot out and consumed Danzo. Naruto clutched his head. Web of intrigue. Do you have any way to contact you? Danzo asked. Just send someone to Rice Country. One of my men will escort them to the Odo village. Be aware that I won't be there at all times. I have bases everywhere in Suna, down in Iwa, and up in Kumo, said Orochimaru. Right, let's get this transplant over with. Alright then, be aware this will hurt a lot, Orochimaru said, transplanting his new arm with Hashirama's genes. End of memory. Naruto stopped clutching his head, he looked up and opened his eyes. His Mangekyo Sharingan was flaring. In the center of his buzzsaw pupil was the four-edged shuriken that was in Danzo's Mangekyo, or rather Shisui's. Kurama, is this? Looks like it, the Iron Mangekyo Sharingan. Naruto breathed heavily, he sprouted his wings and flew to the center of the room. I don't have enough biomass for another tendril burst, might as well. Naruto's body glowed and glowing yellow spike began to sprout from his body, aiming at the surface. Chains shot from his body and attached to the ceiling, chakra chains. Giving a hard pull, it began to collapse. Naruto flew up, avoiding the falling rubble. He activated his armor form and crashed through the surface. Center of Konoha. Konoha forces were currently burning the bodies of dead Odo and Sunanin. Civilians were speaking amongst themselves about the invasion and the return about their yondaime. Suddenly they felt the earth shake, cracks began to form in a single spot until a figure burst from the ground, taking the skies. Naruto reverted back to normal and glided back to his compound. He entered it and was tackled by his future brides. Naruto took this time to pass out of exhaustion, but not before seeing an older version of himself. Oh man, I must be seeing things. Naruto's eyes flickered open, he stared at the ceiling before looking at his surroundings. It was his room. He got up and slowly walked to the bathroom. He stared at his reflection and activated his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. He saw the only change in it was the four-edged shuriken in the center of his buzzsaw pupil. Naruto deactivated it and got into the shower. As the water ran, he began to look back at what has happened. He took down half of Orochimaru's forces, killed Danzo and around 60% of his root ops, and obtained new forms and bloodlines. The only thing he had to deal with was the civilian council, the Tsunade Jinchuriki, and Orochimaru. Getting out of the shower, he wrapped a towel around his waist and bumped into someone on the way out. Nani? Oh hey Kin-chan. Hey. Naruto-kun, when did you get up? Just a few minutes ago. Where's everyone? Everyone except Ai is out helping the village. The whole place is a mess after the invasion. Why do I feel like it was partially my fault? Naruto thought to himself. Wait, what's up with Tei-chan? I dunno, she's been puking a lot for the last 3 days. Puking? Wait, 3 days, I've been out for that long. I see, how's everyone else? Well, Carrie and her sister are out patrolling in case any more forces appear. Kurabi is watching over the Tsunade Jinchuriki. Most of the shinobi are disposing of the corpses and rebuilding, and the cages are discussing matters involving losses during the attack, she said with a blush, trying to look at him. Naruto nodded, but noticed he looked down. Yup, he was wearing nothing but a towel. He grinned. Oh, like what you see, Kin-chan. Her blush only deepened. Well, if you don't mind, I need to get dressed, he said. Kin nodded and walked out. A minute later, Naruto came out wearing another spare of his battle clothes. He knew what he had to do and was going to have to leave. First thing was first, he activated his hunter pulse to locate Gaara. He sprouted his wings and took off towards the hospital. Once inside, he walked into a room that was heavily guarded by Anbu. He walked in and saw Gaara sleeping peacefully with Kurabi writing on a notepad. So you're number 8. And you're 9. Naruto nodded and shook his hand. So how's one doing? Ever since the 4th modified his seal, he hasn't so much as mentioned trying to kill someone. He's just catching up on all those years of sleep he missed. 4th. Were Naruto's thoughts. He saw Gaara, flicking his eyes open. He let out a yawn. Hey 8, what's going on? He saw Naruto. Oh yeah, you're that guy Shikaku was afraid of. Kurabi turned to Naruto, seriously. Let's just say, my bloodline lets me stuff that would give you nightmares for months. Wait, that was you fighting the snake summon? That looked nothing like you, Kurabi asked, surprised. Naruto shifted into his armor mode, freaking out both Jinchuriki. Yeah, I know, scary huh? Naruto said, reverting back to normal. He walked up to Gaara. Well, seeing as we're not enemies, he held up his hand. Friends. Gaara's eyes widened a bit. He's never had friends that would accept him, and here standing in front of him were 2 demon hosts like himself. Guess they were right, it's best to fit in with people like yourself. Gaara shook his hands. Friends. Akmon Olaf for B, put her there man, Kurabi said, also shaking Gaara's hand. After talking a bit, Naruto left towards the room. He noticed two people down the hall holding a baby. It was the one he saved from the root base. Must have been its parents. He saw them crying as they held their missing child. This made Naruto wonder what would his life be like if his parents were still alive. He was so caught up in his thoughts, he didn't notice the person in front of him. "Oh, sorry, I wasn't watching Tei-chan." "And Naruto?" she half yelled. "What are you doing here?" Tei blushed heavily and grabbed Naruto's hand, leading him toward the roof. They got there and looked out into the tattered village. "Tei-chan. Are you okay?" Tei swallowed the lump on her throat and her blush deepened. "Tei-chan, you can tell me," Naruto said, holding her hand. She looked at him. "Naruto, I'm pregnant." Naruto's brain rebooted and his heart stopped for nearly half a minute. Tei pregnant, as in a baby. He then did what every Samaritan would do under such situation. He fainted. He woke up in a hospital bed half an hour later. He saw Tei sitting next to him. "Tei-chan, are you really pregnant?" Tei felt like the worst was about to happen. She closed her eyes and awaited rejection. "I'm gonna be a dad." "Oh my god, that's great, Tei-chan." He yelled happily, making Tei's eyes to widen. She turned to Naruto and began to get teary-eyed. He glomped her. She cried on his shoulder. "Arigato, Naruto-kun," she said. Their faces closed in and were about to lip lock when the door burst open. "Naruto, what happened? We heard you were in the hospital." "I'm sorry, am I interrupting anything?" said Hiruzen. And Minato as burst in and saw Naruto and Tei. They both blushed and laughed sheepishly until Naruto and Minato made eye contact. "The dad?" "Hey Naruto," he said, grinning. "How are you still alive?" "We stopped Orochimaru's Edo Tensei." Hiruzen answered for him. "Not exactly, it seems Kin and Zaku weren't the only ones with exchange tags. Because Orochimaru managed to summon me, my life is attached to his. If he dies then I die as well," Minato stated. Naruto looked downcast. He felt Tei hold his arm. He turned to her and let her head rest on his shoulder. "Damn, I finally meet my dad and he's going to have to go again." "What do you mean, Naruto?" asked Hiruzen. "I'm going after Orochimaru," he said, getting gasps from the cages. "Naruto, think this through. Orochimaru isn't to be taken lightly. He could kill you." "Yeah? So was Danzo, and look where that got him," he said, making a neck slice motion with his hand. "Wait, you found his root base?" "Root? They were supposed to be disbanded," said Minato. "Sadly no, and it gets worse." "Naruto, tell us everything," said Hiruzen. Naruto went on to tell him about the root that was observing him and was stupid enough to lead him to the base. He told them about the civilian council working with Danzo and that the Warhawk was now dead. "Naruto, are you sure you want to do this?" asked Minato. "Yeah, I'm sure, Dad. I'm sorry it has to be this way." "Hey, don't worry about it. I'm already dead anyway. I'll just be going back to the Shinigami's stomach." "Yeah, also Kurama says he's sorry." Everyone looked at him. "Kyuubi," he said, getting nods from the cages. "Well then, if you excuse me, I have to some councilmen to send to the T&I division," said Hiruzen. "We have our respected villages to return to," said Mei, waving goodbye while winking at Naruto and exiting as well. "She's right, looks like I'll be on my way." "Oh, and Gaki, congratulations on the promotion," Ace stated before leaving as well. "I made Chunin." "Not just Chunin, Gaki, you made Jonin." "Well, you were out for 3 days, so you missed the ceremony, but that's to be expected," said Tei, planting a kiss on Naruto's lips. "Oh yeah, that reminds son, what's this about becoming a dad?" said Minato, getting full body blushes from both teens. Several hours later, Hiruzen and Minato were cracking skulls. At first the civilian council thought their yondaime had come back to finish what he started, but then they were taken to Anko and she was dying to try out Naruto's techniques. Needless to say, the civilian council came out of the interrogation broken, bruised, and scared. If you ask Anko about why she was so hard on them, she'd simply reply, "Serves them right for messing with my Narukoi." Kakashi was ecstatic to see his old sensei back, but was sad when he heard the news about his life being tied. Sasuke was hospitalized from chakra exhaustion. The curse mark on his neck was beginning to influence him, whispering in his ear that Konoha had nothing to offer him, that he was better off without them. Sai was left by himself. With Danzo dead, Root was now officially disbanded, so he just ended up renting an apartment and living a normal shinobi life. Only thing that didn't change was his fake smile and him joking about others' manhood. A few hours after Naruto had woken up, Kari talked to him about letting her teammate, Samui, and sister figure, Yujito, could join her in being Naruto's brides, and a session of getting choked by the Raikage later, Yujito and Samui were Naruto's brides as well. Also, to Naruto's surprise, though not entirely surprising to him, Fu, the Jinchuriki of Jimei, asked to be one of his brides. After clearing it with the leader of Taki, who just wanted to be rid of the demon girl, his other brides, and Hiruzen, Fu had joined Naruto's brides. Finally, the thing that hit the Namikaze residence was Teia's pregnancy. The girls all squealed and hugged her. She herself was happy to carry Naruto's child and was sure to put him through hell the next 9 months. Then Kari and Anko glumped him saying they wanted little Naruto's as well. Minato laughed his ass off at his son's predicament. It was hell for him when Kushina was pregnant, but when you have many girls with you that will eventually carry your child, then you'll find yourself begging for suicide. Naruto had asked Kurama about how Taiya could be showing signs of pregnancy after just one day, but Kurama didn't really have an answer to him for that. The only thing he could guess at was that his bloodline had a role in it and sped up the process, and the baby would be born in about 3 months. Naruto had snickered at that. No doubt Taiya would still give him hell, but at least it would be reduced to 3 months. Now we find Naruto packing supplies for the hell he was about to uprise. He took only the essentials, mainly food. Wearing his battle clothes and Jonin vest, he kissed his brides goodbye and he tried to find his father but couldn't, so he left only to find him at the gates. "Dad, what are you guys doing here? What's it look like? I'm coming with you." "Come on Dad, I have to do this alone." "Naruto, you've been alone for the past 13 years, I know I'm gonna die when this is over, so might as well do it fighting," said Minato grinning. "Besides, think of this as family bonding. Yeah, if you count taking down an entire village and an S-rank psychopath family bonding, then you are on your way on winning Father of the Year," he said sarcastically. "Well, I'm your father, and when I say I'm coming with you then I'm coming with you. Dad, I can take care of myself, believe me, otherwise I wouldn't have gotten an SS rank in the bingo book," he said, causing Minato to stare at his son in disbelief. "DSK, yeah right, look at my son trying to act too." He was caught off when Naruto shoved a bingo book in his face. He looked at it and was kind of disappointed. Minato was only ranked S when he was alive, and his son being SS rank surpassed him. "Touché," he said as they walked out of the village. Naruto and Minato were jumping from tree to tree. They were making time thanks to Naruto's hunter pulse. While Naruto was attempting to explain his blacklight bloodline, Minato was surprised to say the least. Never before had he heard of such a power. Naruto had gone and told him about his life. Minato was pissed at what the villagers had done and was getting slightly nervous around his son when he went on about his bloodline's abilities and about him having 5 more bloodlines. They were approaching the border of Fire Country. Naruto slowed down so that his father could rest. Unlike Naruto, Minato was still human and couldn't run all the way to Odo in 2 or 3 hours. Naruto began to discuss battle plans. Minato thought that the best way was to sneak in. He began to explain his plan, which was to sneak in at night, take any alleyways to avoid guards. Once inside, Naruto would use his hunter pulse to find where Orochimaru was and take him out without alerting the village. That was when Naruto told his plan, which made Minato stare at him as if he had grown 2 heads. He said, and I quote, "Naruto, why don't we just go through the front door and just start killing every motherfucker between us and Orochimaru?" Minato, "Well, we could, but then they'd all be." Naruto, "It'd be a lot faster." Minato, "But, Naruto, and a lot more fun." Minato, "Nerd." Naruto, "Fuck it, let's go." Minato was crying and I'm tears at being overruled. And cookie to he who guesses thy reference. Naruto and Minato were now entering Rice Country. He looked around, not a single shinobi village in sight. He used Hunter Pulse again and saw Orochimaru's signature half a mile away. Making their way there, they saw a door at the bottom of a tree where the roots were covering most of the entrance. Minato slowly maneuvered around the roots, not trying to make sound. When he finally made it a motion for Naruto to follow. The funny thing was that Naruto didn't follow suit. He shifted his arms into the hammer fists and smashed through the roots, then walked his way to the door and smashed it open. Minato was staring at him with a sweat drop. His son really didn't care much about stealth. "Dad, you go after Orochimaru and I'll create a diversion." Minato saw what Naruto was doing. He was going to take down the village, or rather base, while he went for Orochimaru. Knowing that his son wouldn't have trouble, he nodded. "Good, Orochimaru is at least 4 levels down. Good luck Dad," Naruto said before taking off. Minato took out dual 3-pronged kunai and made his way to the 4th floor. Orochimaru was currently bedridden. It was time for him to swap bodies, which would take some time. He ordered his personal assistant Kabuto to aid him during the swap. He was a master at espionage. He had recently came running in. Orochimaru-sama, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, and the 4th Hokage have infiltrated the base. Orochimaru turned to him, "Send every force available, do not let them reach this room." Orochimaru was frightened deeply during the time of his body swap, was his most venerable. "Hi, Orochimaru-sama," Kabuto said, taking off. Naruto, running down the hallways, he began to hear footsteps. He used his hunter pulse and saw a group of Odo Nin running in his direction. Shifting to his whip fist, he sent a whiplash, removing the torso from the legs of the Odo Nin. Naruto continued running. He knew that there was more but had to find a more open space to start dealing combos. He exited the corridors and found himself in an open area with lots of pillars. Using his thermal vision, he saw huge numbers Odo shinobi rushing at him. He shifted his arms to his claws and began to slice away, repainting the room with blood. It was then that Naruto felt his danger senses go off. Quickly turning, he swapped his left arm into a shield and blocked small bone-like bullets. He saw the person standing in front of him and noticed the Odo Nin's backing off. He examined the teen. He had silver hair, an emotionless face, 2 red dots on his forehead, red eyeliner, a curse mark on his neck, and he was wearing the same garments that Taiya was wearing when he met her. "So, you must be the Kyuubi Jinchuriki that Orochimaru-sama was referring to," the teen said. "Who are you?" Naruto asked. "Isn't it costume to give one's name first?" "Alright then, my name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, wielder of the Blacklight bloodline. My name is Kimimaro of the Kagaya clan, wielder of the Shikatsuyaku, Deadbone Pulse bloodline." "Alright then, Kimimaro, show me what you got," Naruto said, bringing out his claws and charging forward. Play SSBB Ost vs Meta Ridley. Bones sprouted out from Kimimaro's shoulders. He grabbed them and pulled them out, revealing to be rather sharp-edged. He charged forward, and weapons clashed. Naruto noticed that his bone swords were reinforced with chakra and wouldn't be cut through easily. They continued to clash their weapons. Kimimaro noticed that his bone swords weren't going to last very long. He deflected Naruto's swords and backed off, placing both hands in front of him. Fingers straightened and opened. "Tenshi Senden, 10-finger drilling bullets," Kimimaro said, shooting pawn-shaped bullets from his fingertips. Naruto blocked with his shield and switched his arm to the tendrils. He launched his hands, attempting to use the black hole technique. Kimimaro jumped to avoid, but his right leg was caught. Black and red tendrils shot out, grabbing unfortunate Odo Nin and slamming them hard against Kimimaro. He got up, rubbing his lower torso and arm. Naruto made fast hand signs. Shinkajoku, vacuum bullets. He shot out high-pressure air bullets at Kimimaro. His arm shot out bones that formed into a lance that he used as a shield. Naruto jumped up, formed his hammer fists, and brought them down against his lance. The first blow cracked it, the second cracked some more in the ground as well, and finally with the third strike, he crushed the lance along with Kimimaro's lance. Naruto reverted his hands and they started to glow yellow. He aimed at Kimimaro and shot out chakra chains which wrapped around Kimimaro. Naruto pulled him in close, then threw him up in the air. He pulled again, slamming Kimimaro hard on the floor, creating a medium-sized crater and causing the dust to lift. He released him and readied himself for whatever Kimimaro came at him with. The dust cleared and showed black marks crawling over his skin, which soon completely covered his body, mutating him into a reptile-like humanoid. He had grown a tail with bone-like spikes trailing down it. He had 4 tubular bones sticking out his back, and his skin was now darker. His arm seemed to fix itself, and his other arm formed another lance. "Using your curse seal already? You have forced me into it, I'll admit. You are indeed a worthy opponent, Namikaze Naruto. Let us continue," he stated. It seems that last attack did a number on Kimimaro. All in all, when Naruto uses over 30% of his strength, it's always to kill his opponent. Kimimaro had survived his Sara no Darapu, sky drop, which means that he is if not half dead already. Naruto nodded and shifted his arms into claws. A sweat drop fell from Kimimaro's body. The moment it hit the floor, they both charged. Sounds of metal echoed the room. Kimimaro's lance was chakra enforced, now stronger than steel. Naruto began to pour in wind chakra into his claws, causing them to vibrate. The high frequency managed to cut through Kimimaro's lance. An idea goes to Royal Twin Fangs. Kimimaro sprouted more bones from his arms and began to swipe them like Naruto's claws. He charged only to see that Naruto had disappeared. He then felt a hand on his neck. Zen Kyaku Fuin. Kimimaro felt his strength fade as his body began to regain its natural colors and the marks retreating back onto his curse mark. He looked down to see his mark had disappeared. He looked up, and Naruto dug both his claws upward, lifting Kimimaro off the ground, and like a dual uppercut to the chest, he looked at Naruto as he placed him on his knees and took out one of his claws and ready to execute. "You were by far the best opponent I have ever faced," he said with a smile as blood dripped down from it. Naruto looked at him sadly. "I'll make it quick," he said. Kimimaro closed his eyes, and Naruto brought down his claw, removing his head from his body. Black and red tendrils shot out and consumed Kimimaro. End of song. Naruto held his head as Kimimaro's memories passed through his mind, where his father had him caged like some animal, where Kimimaro's loyalty to Orochimaru was unbreakable, that his best friend was a person named Jugo. Naruto stopped clutching his head and held his arm as biomass engulfed it. He swung it around a couple times, and it morphed into a large double-ended blade. Think Mercer's blade, sorry, but Heller's to me looks like a giant kitchen knife. The Odo Nins looked at Naruto in fright. He had taken down one of Orochimaru's strongest fighters, and the way he looked at them, they were next. The few that thought strengths in numbers decided to charge in. Naruto held his blade back and charged in a whirlwind motion, slicing them all in half. An prototype 2-blade tornado. He saw the rest attempt to flee. Naruto charged biomass into throughout his body and sent out his devastator. Tendril burst, eliminating the fleeing Odo Nin. Naruto surveyed the area and saw no more enemy forces. He used his hunter pulse to find his father and found him leaving the 3rd level with another life force slowly fading away. Well, looks like it's my turn to catch up. Naruto shifted his arms into the hammer fist and began to smash the ground, trying to create a hole to the next floor. Minato. Minato was running down a hall. He halted in a corner and peeked around. Nobody. He continued running when a door opened and an Odonin came walking out. He noticed Minato and was about to shout when Minato clamped a hand over his mouth, sweep kicked, causing him to trip. Minato put an arm around the nin's neck and dove a kunai in his chest. He wiped the blood off the kunai and placed it back in his pouch. He looked around and hid the body in the room, then continued running. Until a silver-haired teen came walk around a corner, so the yondaime returns to us, he spoke. So Orochimaru knows we're here. Of course, unfortunately I have to stop you, sadly I know I can't. He said, charging. Minato threw a three-pronged kunai at Kabuto with pinpoint accuracy. He tilted his head, brought out a kunai. Minato appeared in a yellow flash, and a kunai dug into Kabuto's throat. Kabuto then unexpectedly poofed out, signifying that it was a shadow clone. Minato looked down and saw a kunai with a special tag sunk into his stomach. His eyes darkened and heard a voice in his head, "Kill Naruto Namikaze." Minato began to walk back with intent to kill his son. Naruto. Currently on the second level, making a new hole to the third, Naruto was smashing the ground and managed to make it to the third level. He looked around and saw his father walking up to him. "Dad, what are you doing? You're supposed to be going for Orochimaru," he said, and then noticed his eyes and the kunai. "Oh, fuck me," he said, blocking a powerful kick sending him flying halfway. "Shit. Kurama, what do I do? Your father was resurrected through Edo Tensei, right? And the seal on that kunai is the thing that gives Orochimaru control over your father. You need to touch it with the original Kyaku Fuin contract seal." Easier said than done, Naruto thought, making rapid hand signs. Minato threw a barrage of three-pronged kunai. Naruto blocked, and Minato reappeared in a yellow flash, holding a sphere of chakra. Naruto caught the sphere in his hand, which began to tear his skin off. The force was cracking the walls and creating a crater beneath them. Naruto reached and touched the kunai in Minato's stomach. "Kyaku Fuin," he yelled as he was pushed back by Minato's Rasengan, pulling the kunai out. Naruto crashed against a wall, creating a dent with spiderweb cracks. He looked at Minato, who collapsed on the floor. Naruto walked in front of him and placed a three-pronged kunai in front of him and continued downward. Fourth level. Naruto came across two large doors. He pushed them open and saw a man sitting in a chair wrapped in bandages. "So, it would seem not even your own father can stop you. Looks like we were too late, you've already switched bodies." "Ekaki, quite right, Naruto-kun, now tell me, what pleasure do you have to seek me out?" "I'm here to kill you," he stated, making Orochimaru laugh. "You see, that's not going to work, and I've recently become highly interested in your bloodline," he said, licking his lips behind his bandages. "And what makes you think I'll let you have my body? I recall you not having a choice." Orochimaru said as his neck extended and bit Naruto in the neck. He grinned but noticed his fangs didn't pierce his skin. "Like I said, what makes you think I'll let you have my body?" Naruto stated, shifting his arms into his blade weapon and slicing Orochimaru in half, only for snakes to reattach his two body parts. Play Star Wars Ep 1 Os Duel of the Fates. "Nothing is ever easy, is it?" Naruto said, rushing Orochimaru, who slithered around avoiding Naruto's double-ended blade. Orochimaru rapidly made hand signs. "Sine Tajashu," many hidden shadow snake hands. Snakes shot out of Orochimaru's bandages and charged Naruto. He retaliated, grabbing a nearby desk and throwing it toward the snakes, who caught it and ripped it apart. Naruto shifted his arms into tendrils and shot the black hole technique. He slithered around and shot out the Kusanagi, grass cutter, which was attached extended from the snake in his mouth. Naruto shifted his arms into claws and caught the incoming blade. He swung the blade, lifting Orochimaru overhead and hitting him on the ground and walls. He slammed Orochimaru on the floor and brought out his hammer fists and crushed his lower torso. Orochimaru opened his mouth. Naruto thought he was going to do something out and back out. His mouth unhinged and another Orochimaru shot out of the old one, like how snakes sheds its skin. Orochimaru grabbed the Kusanagi and began to charge at Naruto. Naruto blocked with his claws and the two began to clash weapons. The duel went on for approximately 10 minutes. The two ended in a stalemate. Orochimaru looked into Naruto's eyes. He was flaring his Iron Mangekyo. "That's the," he yelled, letting his guard down. "Amaterasu?" he whispered, shooting a black flame that caught Orochimaru. Not having time to escape, Orochimaru used his back up and shut his skin. Naruto stared at Orochimaru, who was now a giant white deranged snake. "What the fuck are you?" he stared in shock. "Do you like it? This is my true form. Because of the constant experimentation on my body, it resulted in mutating my body into the very being in front of you. All I have to say is you're one ugly motherfucker." References anyone? Naruto backed up a bit, his Iron Mangekyo still active, and shifted into his armor form. Along with the blade weapon, Orochimaru charged. Naruto held out his arm and held onto the snake's head as it rammed him into a wall. Naruto began to stab his head with his blade. Orochimaru screeched in pain and shot up with Naruto still in his jaws. Rice Country surface. Naruto and Orochimaru reached the surface. The snake threw Naruto to the ground, which he skidded on. Naruto deactivated his Amor form. It seems that going through 4 levels of earth damaged his armor. Orochimaru charged at Naruto, who was getting up. In a yellow flash, Naruto disappeared, leaving Orochimaru to hit his snot on the ground. End of song. You okay, Naruto? Hey dad here, I thought you'd leave me with all the fun. Orochimaru was getting angry. First he couldn't place his curse mark on Naruto, and now the seal for control over Minato had been cancelled. He decided to end it with his ultimate technique, Yamata no Jutsu. Naruto and Minato notice a shadow growing, and they turn around to see a giant white 8-headed snake. Looks like it's far from over. You ready to, San, father? Ready when you are. Susanoo. Fuchius no Jutsu. Watching from afar was a hooded figure who was watching the entire battle with great interest. It seems like my experiment worked after all, the hooded figure said to no one in particular. I just hope that when the time comes he will be ready. And cut. The story ends here. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next part.